Chapter 2536. Yes, I'm back, but I'll be leaving soon. I'm going to take you out of the Dark Moon's territory. Our destination is the Cloud Immortal Continent. Night Sorrow knew that Jing Yun had nowhere else to go except for revenge. Zhu Yunxia, Holai, Shenjizi and the others were the same. He was going to take them to the Cloud Immortal Continent to search for opportunities. After all, these people were the founding members of the God-slaying team. They would definitely experience battles in the future, so they needed to improve their strength as soon as possible. Cloud Immortal Continent? Is it the area where the 7 sects are? Hearing this name, Shenjizi and the others didn't quite understand. Only Jing Yun's eyes lit up. That's where I'm going. I can improve my strength faster there. It's like this. Every single one of the 7 great sects of the Cloud Immortal Continent has a long history and a very deep foundation. Furthermore, they all have experts above the Godly King level. If you can obtain their guidance, your strength will definitely increase rapidly. Now that this matter has been settled, I'm going to take you to do something else. Speaking of this, Night Sorrow smiled and said, Shangguan Yun is under my control. I'm going to take you to his mansion to search for cultivation resources. Good. I like this kind of thing. Holai was the first to laugh. He recalled the matter of emptying Feng Ling's cave in the Endless Bone region. Jing Yun also smiled, but she didn't think that a city master could accumulate much wealth. However, under Shangguan Yun's guidance, when they arrived at the city master's mansion, Jing Yun was immediately stunned by their harvest. Shangguan Yun was even wealthier than countless invincible divine emperors. There were 20 million divine gems in his mansion. This was a terrifying number. As for all kinds of elixirs, divine weapons, materials and books, there were countless of them. Many of the things in the treasury were covered with dust, which proved that Shangguan Yun couldn't use them all. This guy is like a local tyrant. Defeating him alone is enough for all of us to cultivate to the next level. I really don't understand. He has a mountain of treasures, but why can't he break through to the divine emperor realm? Zhu Yunxia felt that the scene in front of her was like a dream. In just one night, these poor cultivators had become amazing people who no longer needed to worry about cultivation resources. Thank you, Captain. Yishan definitely wasn't a stingy person. Shenjizi laughed mischievously as he knew that Yishan definitely wouldn't take all these resources for himself. Now that he had advanced to become an upper feather god, if he continued to follow Night Sorrow, he would soon be able to break through to the high god realm. With these resources, I hope that everyone can increase their strength as soon as possible. Our opponent is the Dark Moon Ruler's mansion. In other words, we'll definitely run into the ruler's forces one day. Night Sorrow was also surprised to receive so many resources. However, he was thinking further into the future. He was already thinking about the high gods, the divine sovereign, the divine king, and the sovereign. He really wanted to build a strong home for everyone. After returning to the courtyard, Night Sorrow had a hearty drink with his family and friends. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, he opened his mouth to express his apology to Sikong Chuyu and the others. This time, I had a great harvest in the Divine Lord's abode. Now, I need to enter the vast heaven pagoda to cultivate in seclusion. You guys take care of yourselves. No? Why didn't you rest for a few days after coming back? Why did you start cultivating again? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yang Lei immediately said unhappily, 13, it's not that we don't understand you and don't want you to cultivate. We've been separated from you for so many years. We really want to spend more time with you. Otherwise we won't be as close as before. That's right. Although cultivation is very important, completely ignoring your family is also not advisable. Sikong Chuyu felt that Yang Lei's words made sense. He also began to lecture Night Sorrow. Aoi, Shueshi, Datura and Lin Piaomiao all smiled. Clearly this was something that they had discussed. Good. It's my fault. I neglected my family. Night Sorrow could only apologize with a smile after being lectured by his wives, causing them to chuckle. In the following month, Night Sorrow did not cultivate. During the day, he guided his clansmen in their cultivation and spent the night with his wives. Until one day when his wives all blushed and expressed that they did not want him to accompany them anymore, Night Sorrow entered the Clear Sky Pagoda to study the secret technique of the 33 heaven star souls that he had obtained in the Temple of the 33 Days. The secret technique of the 33 heaven star souls was very profound and could strengthen the soul. Using the secret technique of the 33 heaven star souls, Night Sorrow quickly completed the Immortal Mantra's Feather God level. Using the large amount of resources he had, he began to cultivate the Feather God section of the Immortal Mantra. After spending 300 years in a space that was 100 times faster, Night Sorrow successfully raised his cultivation and body level to the peak of the Feather God level. He successfully caught up to the level of his power of merit and soul power. Then he walked out of the Clear Sky Pagoda and successfully defeated his reincarnation. He completely broke through to the peak of the Feather God level and became a truly invincible Feather God. Night Sorrow believed that his strength was definitely at the peak of the Feather God level. He only needed to break through the bottleneck or accumulate a great amount of merit to break through to the High God level. However, Night Sorrow was not satisfied with just this. Then he squeezed out 2 more secret techniques from Shangguan Yun. One was called the Sky-Splitting Thousand Shadow Hands. This move was similar to the Heaven-Covering Hand that Night Sorrow had learned in the Medicine Valley. It was also a palm technique, but it was more powerful. The other was called the Void Extreme Shadow Body. This Void Extreme Shadow Body was more powerful than the Vanishing Shadow Void Escape. As for the secret technique to increase his strength, Night Sorrow did not obtain it. When he fought with his life on the line, he still had to rely on the 7 Stars Rage. However, after being improved, the Vital Essence Smoke Beacon and Star's hegemonic body could be automatically used in battle and did not require energy. Night Sorrow, why do I feel that the current you is stronger than an invincible high god like me? When Night Sorrow finished cultivating and appeared in front of everyone except Jing Yun felt that they could not breathe when facing him. That kind of powerful pressure made them feel very uncomfortable. I should be stronger than an ordinary lower divine lord now. As for how an invincible high god will fare in battle, I'm not sure. When Night Sorrow had just left Jinyuan Divine Lord's cave, he had encountered a lower divine lord, Wen Gongming. At that time he had used all his means to defeat him. If he encountered him again, the battle would be easily settled. Won't we be able to determine it after a battle? Although I don't know where I will be on the high god list, I will definitely be on it, Jing Yun said with a smile. She was eager to give it a try. She was very confident in her bloodline. Okay, then let's compare notes. After that, Yi Shang and Jing Yun found a barren mountain with no one around and had a fight. After returning, when the crowd asked about the result, Jing Yun only said one word, freak. Everyone immediately understood that Night Sorrow had won this battle. They realized that Yi Shang had soared to the heavens after creating the immortal mantra. Jing Yun, in a few days I will go to Langqi Mountain to look for Elder Zhuang He of the Dark Alliance. Now that you don't have to worry about the family, why don't you come with me and find an opportunity to take revenge? Now that his strength had increased, Night Sorrow felt that it was time to go to Langqi Mountain and find a way to rescue the suppressed cultivators. Then he would leave the Dark Moon Dominator's territory and go to Yunxian continent. Okay, I'll go. Jing Yun's entire family had been destroyed. Needless to say, she hated the Shangguan family. A few days later, Night Sorrow and Jing Yun said goodbye to everyone and went on the road to Langqi Mountain. Their state of mind was very different from the last time. Chapter 2537. The 3 major families of Mount Langqi were the Shangguan family, the Ling family, and the Murong family. Among them, the Shangguan family had a grudge against Night Sorrow and Jing Yun. The Ling family was the controller of the Shadow Pavilion. They were related to the Dark Moon ruler and had a conflict with Night Sorrow. As for the Murong family, they seemed to be more low-key. Night Sorrow and Jing Yun had not interacted with them. However, they were also heartless people and were not good people. This time, the 2 of them were prepared to give these families a big surprise. After arriving at Mount Langqi, Night Sorrow and Jing Yun went directly to the west side of the city to find the secret watchtower where Zhuang He was. When the 2 of them arrived outside the watchtower, Night Sorrow discovered that the defensive formation here last time was only used to prevent detection. This time, it was a god-level defensive formation. There might be some changes in the watchtower. Night Sorrow and the veiled Jing Yun both felt that the atmosphere outside the watchtower was a little strange. Night Sorrow's spiritual power was not only unique among the feather gods, but also very powerful among the high gods. Sensing the strange atmosphere, he immediately used his spiritual power to investigate the watchtower and its surroundings. The formation of the watchtower was very good. Even with the strength of Night Sorrow's spiritual power, it could not penetrate it. Within 10,000 miles of the watchtower, there were dozens of hidden sentries. Some of these sentries were disguised as peddlers, while others were like ordinary cultivators. They flew around the city in the sky and all of them used their spiritual power to lock onto the watchtower. The situation was as if a storm was about to come, and dark clouds were pressing down on the city. Let's go in. He did not care about these hidden sentries. He glanced at Jing Yun and flew with her to the watchtower. Who are you? The 2 of them stopped outside the watchtower. Immediately, a vigilant half-step high god walked out of the watchtower. "We're here to find Elder Jianghu." Night Sorrow transmitted his voice. This half-step high god's aura was very similar to Lin Mo's and Zhou Cangshue's. He should also be from Hai Bei City. Yishang directly mentioned Elder Zhuanghe's name. He knew that the other party would know what was going on. "Esteemed guest, please wait a moment, I will go and inform them." The half-immortal level cultivator immediately understood what Night Sorrow meant and returned to the Dark Tower to report the matter. Not long after, Zhuanghe personally came out to welcome him. When he realized that it was Night Sorrow and Jing Yun, his expression turned grave. "Come with me. Let's talk inside." "Elder Zhuanghe, did something happen?" Night Sorrow asked as they walked towards the secret chamber. "AI, you guys came at the wrong time. Our Dark Alliance's stronghold has been exposed. Now that it has been sealed, the three great clans will probably make their move soon." Zhuanghe, who was walking in front, could not help but sigh in response. "Elder Zhuanghe, do you know what kind of people the three big families have sent?" Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow felt that he had come at the right time. After all, with his strength, it was enough to deal with an ordinary Sir God. In addition, Jing Yun should be able to fight against weaker Sir Gods. "AI, that's why it's worrying. This time, the three big families have sent 1 Sir God and 10 High Gods. In addition, the City Lord of West City, Shangguan Fudo, is also a Sir God. We can't resist such a lineup." Zhuanghe's expression turned ugly. "We wanted to ask the Alliance leader for help, but now that the outside has been completely sealed, we can't do it. Now that you guys are here, I'm afraid you will be implicated. Elder Zhuanghe, you are being too polite. Don't worry, with Jing Yun and I here, the Dark Alliance will definitely survive this crisis. Night Sorrow would like to thank you for what happened last time." Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Zhuanghe. He had obtained so many benefits in the Jinyuan Divine Lord's cave residence, so he really had to thank the Dark Alliance for providing him with the information. "You're welcome. Tianyi has obtained many benefits, so the Dark Alliance should be the one thanking you," Zhuanghe said politely. At this moment, the three of them arrived at the secret chamber. Zhuanghe opened a stone door and Night Sorrow and Jing Yun immediately saw Yun Tianyi, Lin Mo, Zhou Cangshuo, and the others. "Brother Yi, why are you here?" When he saw Night Sorrow, Yun Tianyi, who had been sitting cross-legged on the ground, immediately stood up excitedly. His aura was very strong, much stronger than when he entered the locust tree forest. However, his face was a little pale and it was obvious that he was injured. When they saw that it was Night Sorrow and Jing Yun, Lin Mo, Zhou Cangshuo, and the others also stood up. "Tianyi, did you break through to become a lower high god because you obtained an opportunity in the cave residence?" Night Sorrow could tell at a glance that Yun Tianyi was now a high god. It's a long story. Let's talk in the courtyard," Yun Tianyi said. They came to the courtyard where Night Sorrow had cultivated before and sat down at the stone table. He ordered someone to bring tea and snacks for Night Sorrow and Jing Yun, then slowly talked about what happened in the cave residence and the origin of the current crisis in the secret chamber. It turned out that the trees in the locust tree forest did not attack the cultivators of Hai Bei City. When Night Sorrow and Yao Shi were trapped, Yun Tianyi was sent to another space and received some of the inheritance left behind by the immortal Lord Jinyuan. After cultivating for a few decades, Yun Tianyi sensed that the divine tribulation was coming, so he left the cave residence of the immortal Lord Jinyuan. As for the current crisis in the secret chamber, it was because Yun Tianyi had brought people to the ancient city of Lanqi to rescue his father. After the rescue failed, they fled to the secret chamber, but they were discovered by the people of the three big families, so they were trapped there. Including Yun Tianyi and Zhuanghe, there were a total of 5 high gods and 12 half-step high gods in the secret chamber. They were already very strong, but they were definitely no match for the people of the three big families. "Everyone, don't worry. With me and Jing Yun here, the people of the three big families should not be a threat to everyone." Jing Yun had been very quiet. Night Sorrow pointed at her and said, "Jing Yun has the strength to enter the high gods list, but she has not challenged the cultivators on the list. She can fight against ordinary low gods." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone looked at Jing Yun. Jing Yun was a little embarrassed to be stared at like this. At this time Lin Mo asked, "Brother Yi, what is your strength now? I can't see through you at all." "I can fight against high gods." Night Sorrow replied casually and said, "I think that instead of waiting here for the enemy to attack, we should take the initiative to attack and kill the high gods and high gods surrounding us. Then we can quickly go to the ancient city of Lanqi to rescue the people." "Can you really fight against high gods?" Zhou Tianming, the high god sitting next to Yun Tianyi, asked doubtfully. Like Jianghu, he was one of the 10 great elders of the secret chamber and also came from High Bay City. He felt that if Knight Sorrow and Jing Yun could really fight against high gods, then this crisis might be averted. Brother Yi is the feather god of merit. He never lies. If he says he can, then he can't lie. Yun Qianni understood Knight Sorrow and explained for him. Then she said with a wry smile, I thought that I could surpass Brother Yi after I became a high god. Now it seems that it was just wishful thinking. You are only a feather god now and you can fight against high gods. I can't imagine how strong you will be in the future. Let's not talk about this. Let's discuss the specific tactics and battle plan. Do you have a map of the ancient city of Langqi and the distribution of the key forces, especially the high gods in the city? Chapter 2538. The ancient city of Langqi was the headquarters of the three families. It was where their power lay and there might be some unexpected masters. After all, an immortal state cultivator had an endless lifespan. Some of them might appear when the family was in danger. Okay. Zhang Shui, get the map for Brother Yi. Yun Qianni wasn't the most powerful person there, but he was obviously in a high position. When Knight Sorrow asked about the ancient city of Langqi, he immediately told him about it. There were at least 10 people above the Divine Lord level in the ancient city of Langqi. There must be more, but no one was sure about the specific situation. However, the three families didn't have a ruling position in the past, so their power shouldn't be too strong. At least there shouldn't be a divine king. There's one more thing. Since the West City is the citadel of the ancient city of Langqi, there must be a teleportation array between them. We have to destroy it before we attack. Knight Sorrow said what he was worried about. The control of the West City must be in the hands of the three families. There must be a teleportation array in the City Lord's mansion. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to fight back if the other party sent a few Divine Lords. It seems difficult. The defense arrays of the 4 citadels of the ancient city of Langqi are all at the Divine Lord level. We might not even be able to enter the City Lord's mansion. Elder Zhuang, he said. He was more familiar with this than Yun Qianni. A Divine Lord level defense array was already extraordinary. No one in the Dark Alliance could break it. A Divine Lord level defense array. That's a problem. Although Knight Sorrow felt that a Divine Lord level defense array wasn't invulnerable, he couldn't risk everyone's lives to test it. After thinking for a while, he said, we can't attack in the City Lord's mansion. Why don't we pretend to break out of the city and wait until the pursuers are alone and helpless? Then we can kill them all. What do you think? That's a good idea. I agree. The High God Elder Zhou Tianming was the first to agree. At the moment, Knight Sorrow's idea was the best choice. Yun Qianni and the others naturally did not object. After discussing, they decided to catch the other party off guard and set off immediately. When we run out of the city, I'll cover the rear. Jing Yun, don't use your full strength. After the preparations were complete, Knight Sorrow emphasized to Jing Yun. He was afraid that she would reveal too much strength and alert the enemy. Alright, I'll control it. At that moment, although Jing Yun had a calm expression on her face, she was extremely excited. She had been fleeing for so long that she had lost count of how long it had been. Now that she was finally going to make a move against her enemy, she simply couldn't calm down. I know that waves are surging in your heart. This is a very normal thing. Pay attention to your safety when you fight. Sensing the restlessness in Jing Yun's heart, Knight Sorrow consoled her as he walked out of the secret pavilion. Don't worry, I will control my emotions. Jing Yun replied softly and didn't say anything else. Thinking of her family members that she would never see again, her gaze was incomparably firm. Is everyone ready? When they arrived at the entrance of the secret pavilion, Knight Sorrow turned around and looked at everyone. After getting an affirmative answer, he said, let's go. Everyone pay attention to protect yourselves. I will do my best to take care of everyone. Tianni is injured. Elder Zhuang, he take care of him. All right. Knight Sorrow was very strong and had a charismatic personality. Under his arrangement, Elder Zhuang he immediately agreed. Yun Qianni, who was injured, was a little depressed. This matter started because of him, but now he needed Knight Sorrow to deal with it. He felt that he owed Knight Sorrow too much. Everyone pay attention. Don't be separated. Let's go. With that last sentence, Knight Sorrow took the lead to walk out of the secret pavilion and flew into the air. Jing Yun and the cultivators of the Dark Alliance who followed behind him also came out immediately. They flew directly in the direction of the city gate. The remnants of High Bay City want to escape. Quickly inform City Lord Shangguan and Lord Murong Xiao. Seeing the people of the secret pavilion walk out in a line and fly in the direction of the city gate, many sentries immediately reported. Some people used escape techniques to chase after them. Among the cultivators who chased after them, there were 3 or 4 exalted gods. They noticed that the Dark Alliance's exalted gods weren't good, so they didn't try to stop them. They kept 10,000 miles behind them, clearly thinking that it was enough to just follow them. Let them follow. We can lure the other 2 monarchs here. Is there a suitable area nearby for setting up an array? After killing the guards at the city gate and rushing out of the west side of the city, Night Sorrow immediately asked. There's a desolate valley 200,000 miles ahead. We can set up an array in the valley. When the time comes, we just need to guard the entrance of the valley. We won't be attacked from all sides. Jianghu, who was the most familiar with the area, pointed into the distance. Alright, let's go to the valley and set up a defensive array. With the help of the array, our chances of winning will be much higher. Night Sorrow had the array diagram that Long Tianqing gave him. It could be used to set up an exalted god and monarch god defensive array. Currently, Night Sorrow didn't have any monarch god materials on him. However, after raiding Hai Bei City's city Lord Shangguanyun's residence, he obtained a large amount of exalted god materials. When he reached the valley, he carefully set up the array. Soon he finished setting up the exalted god defensive array. On the other side, Shangguan Fudu and Murong Xiao were catching up very quickly. As soon as Night Sorrow set up the array, the 2 of them led 20 exalted gods and chased after him. The other side has an obvious advantage in terms of exalted gods. However, with the array, if they rush in, their strength will be weakened to a certain extent. As for the monarchs, Jing Yun and I will take 1 each. Night Sorrow, who was sizing up Shangguan Fudu and Murong Xiao, pointed at Murong Xiao and said to Jing Yun, that one has a weaker aura. I'll leave him to you. I'll deal with the other one. No, I'll deal with Shangguan Fudu. Jing Yun asked Zhuanghe about Shangguan Fudu and Murong Xiao's identities. When she heard these 2 names, she immediately chose to fight with Shangguan Fudu. Alright, be careful. When you fight, don't let hatred get to your head. Night Sorrow naturally understood why she would make such a choice. During the time you were away, I've been cultivating. My strength has increased a lot. When I fought with you a few days ago, I didn't use my strongest bloodline attack. I'm confident that I can defeat him, Jing Yun said confidently. At this time, Murong Xiao floated outside the valley and shouted arrogantly, You Hai Bei City survivors, do you think that hiding in the valley and setting up a lousy array can affect the battle? They had 2 lower immortal lords and 20 exalted gods on their side. However, there was not a single immortal lord in the valley. In terms of cultivation, the difference was simply too great. Murong Xiao and Shangguan Fudu did not take the people present seriously. You're Murong Xiao? Yun Tianyi, who was injured, could not fight, but her mouth was not idle. She provoked, This valley is called Owl Burial Valley. Do you know? You will die here today. You're courting death. Kill all the Hai Bei City survivors in this valley. Chapter 2539. Yun Tianyi, don't think that I won't dare to kill you just because you have the protection of your sect. There weren't many lists in the realm of the gods. Yun Tianyi had appeared on the list of feather gods and was quite famous in the Dark Moon Dominators area. Murong Xiao obviously knew him. After being mocked, he immediately rushed over. After entering the array, Murong Xiao's speed was slightly affected, but his hammer was still very powerful. Brother Yi, save me. The injured Yun Tianyi was targeted by the hammer and immediately stood behind Night Sorrow. Seeking the protection of a feather god? You've wasted your life as a high god. Murong Xiao looked at Night Sorrow with disdain. As a high god, he felt that the feather gods were ants. Soon you will know that you've wasted your life as a high god. Facing Murong Xiao's hammer, Night Sorrow held the Samsara halberd in his hand and casually struck. Now he was fighting with his essence Smoke and Star's mighty body. Even if he didn't use the spear technique, he was still very powerful. He wanted to see how his strength compared to a high god's. Brother Night Sorrow, don't be arrogant. A high god is not that easy to deal with. Elder Zhou Tianming, a high-level high celestial, shouted worriedly when he saw that Yi Shang had actually resisted Murong Xiao's attack head-on. He felt that Yi Shang's response was too arrogant. Boom. As soon as Zhou Tianming finished speaking, Murong Xiao was sent flying by Night Sorrow's attack. What? Murong Xiao was shocked as he was sent flying. He didn't expect that he would be sent flying by a feather god. Everyone else present was dumbfounded. Zhou Tianming, who felt that Night Sorrow was a little arrogant, immediately shouted excitedly, Brother Night Sorrow, you're really a god. I admire you. Everyone follow me into battle. In an instant, the Dark Alliance's morale was boosted. Brother Morong, you can't underestimate this feather god. Let me help you kill him. Sword of tumbling clouds and overturning water. The power that Night Sorrow had just displayed made Shangguan Fudu extremely fearful. He had lived for a few reincarnations and had never heard of such a feather god in the divine realm. He immediately used the long sword in his hand to stab at Night Sorrow. His choice was different from Murong Zhao's. He used the sword art. Shangguan Fudu, your opponent is me. At this time, Jing Yun, who had been suppressing her aura, suddenly erupted. Her green phoenix battle armor immediately blossomed with scorching flames, blocking Shangguan Fudu. You're a descendant of the Jing clan. Seeing Jing Yun's appearance clearly, Shangguan Fudu was clearly somewhat surprised. Then he laughed and said, I didn't expect all kinds of monsters to come out today. It was right for you to laugh more when you were alive. Jing Yun's personality was very gentle, but she wasn't gentle at all in battle. After replying, she activated the power of her bloodline and transformed into a true phoenix. She soared into the sky and spat out phoenix flames at Shangguan Fudu. What a pure phoenix bloodline. Facing Jing Yun, who had transformed into a true phoenix, Shangguan Fudu immediately put away his contempt and fought back. He noticed that Jing Yun wasn't very passive when facing Shangguan Fudu. While Night Sorrow was fighting with Murong Zhao, he was controlling the array to disturb the 20 superior gods. After being disturbed by the array, the strength of the 20 superior gods decreased significantly. This greatly reduced the pressure on the members of the Dark Alliance. Bastard, how dare you be distracted when fighting with me? Murong Zhao, who had suffered a loss at the hands of Night Sorrow, noticed that Night Sorrow had the spare energy to help others while fighting with him. He was immediately fuming with anger, feeling that he, a superior god, had been greatly insulted. He immediately used his unique skill, the Destroyer Hammer. Void Extreme Shadow Body. In the face of Murong Zhao's almost destructive attack, Night Sorrow didn't choose to take it head-on. This wasn't because he was afraid but because he wanted to try out a new movement skill and a new unique skill. Thousand Sky-Splitting Shadow Hands. After using the Void Extreme Shadow Body to dodge Night Sorrow's attack, Murong Zhao immediately used the Thousand Sky-Splitting Shadow Hands that he had just mastered. His palms, which were glowing with golden light, immediately attacked Murong Zhao thousands of times. None of the thousands of palm prints were illusory. All of them were real. Blood Barbarian Robe, protect the owner. Facing Night Sorrow's Thousand Sky-Splitting Shadow Hands, Murong Zhao, who had missed his first strike, didn't dare to be careless. While using the Superior God Defensive Robe to protect himself, he used the Warhammer to attack again. Pa. Murong Zhao had obviously underestimated Night Sorrow and the Thousand Sky-Splitting Shadow Hands. His chest was hit by 2 palms consecutively. Night Sorrow's body was so strong that it immediately shattered Murong Zhao's sternum. Brother Murong, how do you feel? Shangguan Fudu, who was fighting with Jing Yun, immediately asked after seeing that Murong Zhao was badly injured. If Murong Zhao couldn't take it anymore, he would definitely escape immediately. This was because Jing Yun was very difficult to deal with. Although her divine core power and divine soul power weren't as strong as his, her real phoenix bloodline was quite terrifying. This feather god is ridiculously strong, but I still have the strength to fight. Murong Zhao got up and took an elixir. His bones began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. This time when he looked at Night Sorrow again, he took it seriously. He had already forgotten that Night Sorrow's cultivation was at the feather god realm. However, although Murong Zhao took it seriously, his current strength was still inferior to Night Sorrow's. Soon he was completely suppressed. It was only a matter of time before he was defeated. This little bastard at the Feather God realm is using my nephew Shangguan Yun's unique skill. It seems that my nephew has already been killed by him. Damn it. Shangguan Fudu noticed Night Sorrow's body movement and unique skill, so he transmitted his voice to Murong Zhao angrily. This kid is very strange. Although he's at the Feather God realm, he's definitely stronger than me. How about you? As the battle progressed, Murong Zhao, who was getting more and more tired, couldn't help but have the intention to retreat. He's also not easy to deal with. Shangguan Fudu's condition was slightly better than Murong Zhao's, but the situation was not optimistic. As soon as his doppelganger responded, Jing Yun, who was carrying the flaming Huang Lingyu, suddenly shot over. Shangguan Fudu couldn't dodge in time and was hit 5 or 6 times. His robe was also burning. These 2 cultivators are too strange. Let's go. Murong Zhao was completely passive. Now that he was injured, Shangguan Futu immediately transmitted his voice. He wanted to escape with Murong Xiao. Okay. Where there's life, there's hope. Murong Xiao, who had already lost the will to fight, naturally agreed with Shangguan Futu. He immediately used the conveyance light and prepared to escape. Want to escape? You can't escape. When Murong Xiao escaped, Shangguan Futu also moved. He gave up fighting with Jing Yun and flew toward the entrance of the valley. Night Sorrow, who saw them trying to escape, shouted at this time. He used the Divine Origin Dragon-locking formation on Shangguan Futu and bound him in midair. He himself used the 7-star Violent Alcade to increase his strength. After that, he used the Void Extreme Shadow Body to chase after Murong Xiao. Phoenix Cry 9th Heaven. Shangguan Futu was sealed in a small enclosed space by Night Sorrow. Chapter 2540. Shangguan Futu, who was unable to break through the imprisonment of the Divine Origin Dragon Lock spell, was immediately pierced by the Fire Phoenix. As the sealed space collapsed, Shangguan Futu's broken body fell from the sky. With his dantian broken, his soul broke out of his body in an attempt to escape. At this moment, Jing Yun turned back into her human form. She reached out and crushed his body. In the west city of Langqi Mountain, the high and mighty castellan Shangguan Futu was completely destroyed. The first one. Jing Yun, who killed Shangguan Futu, had a murderous look on her face. She told herself that this was the first step of her revenge. There were many more people to kill in the future. Where are you going? Shangguan Futu's Divine Origin Dragon Lock spell had been broken. Night Sorrow, who was chasing Murong Xiao, immediately used it on him. Break it. In the process of escaping, Murong Xiao saw that Night Sorrow and Jing Yun worked together to kill Shangguan Futu. Now that Night Sorrow had just used the Divine Origin Dragon Lock spell, Murong Xiao, who was already prepared, immediately threw out a divine talisman made by a middle-level divine lord and successfully destroyed the sealed space of the Divine Origin Dragon Lock spell. Samsara Strike. Night Sorrow, who did not expect Murong Xiao to break the spell so quickly, used the Samsara Strike at this moment. Murong Xiao, who was not in the mood to continue fighting, would not receive this attack after breaking the spell. He immediately used his movement technique and fled toward the west city. His goal was to escape into the city lord's mansion and use the teleportation formation to leave. In the process of escaping, Murong Xiao burned his blood essence and was extremely fast. Do you think you can escape like this? 7 stars rage. In an instant, Murong Xiao had escaped tens of thousands of miles away. Night Sorrow immediately used the 7 stars rage to increase his strength. After that, he used the Void Extreme Shadow Body and chased after Murong Xiao. Damn it. He's just a feather god. Not only is he powerful but he's also fast. Murong Xiao, who was escaping, cursed silently as he paid attention to Night Sorrow behind him. He had never heard of such a powerful feather god in the realm of the gods. The strength of his body, Yuan Qi, divine soul, and speed were all at the level of a divine lord. Jing Yun, I can deal with Murong Xiao myself. You go back and help them. Night Sorrow immediately sent a telepathic message to Jing Yun, asking her to help the Dark Alliance. Although they were in the middle of the formation and had a natural advantage, the Dark Alliance had too few high gods and were completely suppressed. Fortunately, no one from the Dark Alliance was killed even though a few of them were injured. When the invincible high god Jing Yun arrived, the situation was immediately reversed. The 20 high gods from the 3 clans were all killed. Invincible exalted gods were basically equivalent to immortal lords. Ordinary exalted gods like them were no match for them. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had performed the 7-star rampage, had already intercepted Murong Xiao at the edge of the valley. This position had already left Night Sorrow's formation. Murong Xiao's strength had recovered a little, but he was still at a disadvantage. He was suppressed to the point that he could not fight back. If you swear an oath to the heavenly Tao and pledge your loyalty to me, I will let you live. Otherwise you will end up like Shangguan Futu. Night Sorrow, who was suppressing Murong Xiao, used the Divine Vitality Dragon Locking formation to imprison him after taking control of the situation. He was not afraid that Murong Xiao would use the transmission stone. Their next stop was the ancient city of Langqi to rescue the suppressed High Bay city cultivators. However, no one, including Yun Qianni, knew the specific situation in the ancient city of Langqi. If they could control Murong Xiao, it would be beneficial for their operation. Junior, what kind of person do you take me, Murong Xiao? Even if I die, I will not turn around and help you fight against my clan. Facing Night Sorrow's threat, Murong Xiao still had some backbone. Do it. The Murong clan will avenge me. Jing Yun and I are targeting the Shangguan clan and the Ling clan. It has nothing to do with the Murong clan. It has something to do with saving the suppressed cultivators, but it has no effect on the Murong clan. I will give you 3 breaths to consider. Knight Sorrow did not have a life-and-death feud with the Murong clan, so he persuaded Murong Xiao to surrender. If Murong Xiao could surrender, the difficulty of their operation in the ancient city of Langqi would be reduced by at least 70%. This was why he was wasting his breath. I can consider not attacking the Murong clan. But I, Murong Xiao, can't surrender to anyone forever. Murong Xiao was trapped in the Divine Vitality Dragon Locking Formation. He knew that he would die if he refused, so he began to bargain. It was not easy to cultivate to the Monarch God realm. He did not want to be completely annihilated like Shangguan Fudo. I'm stronger than you. It is not useful for you to surrender. You only need to cooperate with me to save the suppressed cultivators in Hai Bei City, and I will let you go. Knight Sorrow's sharp eyes fell on Murong Xiao. This is too shameful. But Shangguan Fudo is stronger. Murong Xiao's eyebrows twisted. He felt that as a monarch god, it was too embarrassing to surrender to a feather god. But he felt that his life was more important than his face. He thought for a moment and said, if you can't save those cultivators, I will have to help you forever. How about this? If I help you save them, I will be free immediately. If I can't, I will fight with you for 10,000 years. After 10,000 years you will let me go. 10,000 years was just a blink of an eye for an old monster like Murong Xiao who had lived for several reincarnations. He felt that 10,000 years was too short. Okay, 10,000 years it is. You can make a heavenly oath. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow felt that 10,000 years was not short. He nodded and agreed. After 10,000 years he might be able to reach a higher level. A monarch god like Murong Xiao might not be useful anymore. He would be a burden to him. I, Murong Xiao, swear that I will serve Knight Sorrow from today onwards. Murong Xiao, who was released from the Divine Vitality Dragon Locking Formation, did not hesitate and immediately made a heavenly oath. With the restriction of the heavenly oath, he did not dare to act rashly. Otherwise he would be devoured by the heavenly Tao. Let's go back to the valley with me. After successfully subduing Murong Xiao, Knight Sorrow immediately flew back to the valley with him. When the 2 of them arrived at the valley, Jing Yun had already killed all 20 great gods from the 3 big clans. Jing Yun, who was originally as gentle as water, was now filled with murderous intent. Knight Sorrow comforted her, although you have a family feud, you still need to calm down. Otherwise, your state of mind will be broken and you will turn into a demon. Okay, I understand. Hearing Knight Sorrow's safety, Jing Yun smiled. The murderous intent and hostility on her body dissipated instantly. She no longer gave off a fierce feeling. Seeing Knight Sorrow bring Murong Xiao back, she asked curiously, what happened to him? I convinced him to cooperate with us to save the people in Langqi Ancient City. Knight Sorrow glanced at the members of the Dark Alliance and made sure that no one was killed. He said, since no one is in danger, let's quickly recover. Also, speed is the most important thing in war. We need to discuss countermeasures immediately and march into Langqi Ancient City. Okay, with Murong Xiao's help, our journey will be smoother. After knowing that it was Knight Sorrow who had subdued Murong Xiao, the members of the Dark Alliance were full of admiration from the bottom of their hearts. However, saving the people was more important now. It was not the time to be polite. Zhuang He and Zhou Tianming, who had something to say, did not speak. They were all thinking of countermeasures. I have an idea. Listen to it and see if it is feasible. Chapter 2541. Just tell me your idea. If it's feasible, I'll accept it. Knight Sorrow knew that Murong Xiao wanted to complete the mission quickly and regain his freedom, so he gave him a chance to speak. This time, my mission is to capture you and suppress you in the dungeon of the God-suppressing pagoda. Why don't you guys pretend to be my subordinates and the other half pretend to be the targets? I'll bring you to the God-suppressing pagoda, and then everyone will launch a sneak attack to save you. Murong Xiao continued, I, Shangguan Jinyan of the Shangguan clan, and Ling Tianzhua of the Ling clan will take turns guarding the God Suppression Pagoda. Murong Xiao looked at Knight Sorrow and then at Jing Yun. He said, when something happened to the God Suppressing Pagoda, I came out to hunt them down, and the 2 of them are in charge of guarding it. If the 3 of us take action, we can quickly finish them off. After we finish them off and save the people, as long as we're fast enough, we can definitely leave Langqi Ancient City before the gods of the 3 big families arrive. This is indeed the best choice. I think it's feasible. He stroked his beard and nodded. He thought it was a good choice, much better than the last time. Zhou Tianming also agreed. It's a good idea. It will definitely be easier to succeed than the last mission. He had participated in the last rescue mission, so he knew the location of the god-suppressing pagoda. It was heavily guarded. This is a good idea. At this time Night Sorrow shook his head and said, but I think there's a better way. I'll put everyone into the spatial artifact and sneak into the god-suppressing pagoda with Murong Xiao. Then I'll release everyone and launch a surprise attack. After the rescue I'll put everyone into the spatial artifact. Then I'll be the only one to test when escaping. There was one more thing that Night Sorrow didn't say. In fact, the best way was for everyone to enter Murong Xiao's spatial artifact. It would definitely be a smooth journey, but he didn't want to entrust his life to others. Good. That's the best way. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yun Tianyi immediately praised him. The fewer people there were, the smaller the target. She felt that Night Sorrow's words were reasonable. That's it then. There's no time to lose. Let's get started. Jing Yun nodded. Following that, everyone entered Night Sorrow's vast heaven pagoda one after another. Let's go. Explain to me about the divine lords of Langqi ancient city on the way. Night Sorrow used the teleportation crystal to set up a teleportation formation in the valley and said to Murong Xiao. Divine Monarch's words. The Murong family including me has a total of 5. The Shangguan family was the number 1 family in Langqi ancient city. Even though Shangguan Fuda had been killed, they still had more Sir Gods than the Murong family. They still had 7. As for the Ling family, they were very close to the sovereign's residence, so it was hard to say how many godly monarchs they had. There are also 5 of them who show up frequently. Restricted by the heavenly oath, Murong Xiao had to tell the truth. Night Sorrow, who had a preliminary understanding of the situation, continued to ask during the flight, the divine lord you mentioned, I'm afraid it's only on the surface, right? How strong were the foundations of the various clans? Is there an invincible divine monarch or divine king? To be honest, I really don't know if the 3 families have the invincible divine emperor and the divine king. Murong Xiao responded to Night Sorrow's question with a wry smile. Then he said, but I think that the clans won't use their foundations to deal with a feather god. You don't have to worry about this at all. Well, that makes sense. Night Sorrow nodded and asked Murong Xiao to explain the situation in Langqi ancient city in general. The god-suppressing pagoda was in the middle of Langqi ancient city. The 3 families were guarding the 3 directions of the god-suppressing pagoda, almost in a form of encirclement. The god-suppressing pagoda itself didn't have much defense. It had a total of 6 floors, one of which was underground. Most of the suppressed cultivators in Haibei City were imprisoned there. A small number of them were imprisoned in the 3 families. The dungeon of the god-suppressing pagoda was used to imprison cultivators. The other 5 floors were the training grounds for the cultivators of Langqi Mountain. Every time they passed a floor, they would be rewarded by the god-suppressing pagoda. It seems that the god-suppressing pagoda is not that simple. After listening to Murong Xiao's description, Night Sorrow knew that it was similar to the sky-reaching bone pagoda. But this time he was here to save someone, so he wasn't in the mood to break through the pagoda. We're here. The city floating on the top of the mountain ahead is the ancient city of Langqi. When they were 100,000 miles away, Murong Xiao pointed to the huge city on the horizon. This huge city was at least 10 times larger than the Acropolis like West City. It floated above the layers of white clouds on the top of the mountain, looking very vast and immortal. Wait a moment, I'll set up another teleportation formation. Night Sorrow had obtained a lot of resources from Shangguan Yun's mansion. There were dozens of teleportation crystals, so he didn't feel bad about using them at all. After setting up the teleportation formation, he looked at Murong Xiao and said, if we encounter people from the Murong family, you'd better persuade them to retreat. There's no blood feud between us, so it's best not to have a conflict. Well, if we encounter them, I'll try to persuade them. Murong Xiao sighed. He was the backbone of the Murong family and was extremely powerful. He was the key person guarding the god-suppressing pagoda, but now he had to embezzle what he was guarding. Let's go, you lead the way. If we encounter an interrogation, you should know how to deal with it. The 2 flew to the gate of Langqi ancient city. Night Sorrow sent a message to Murong Xiao, asking him to lead the way. Under Murong Xiao's lead, Night Sorrow naturally sneaked into Langqi ancient city and flew to the god-suppressing pagoda with him. On their way to the god-suppressing pagoda, the Shangguan family was in a mess because the family master, Shangguan Fuxing, found that the divine soul lamp of his brother, Shangguan Fudu, had been extinguished. This proved that Shangguan Futu, the governor of West City, had lost his divine soul. Futu has been killed. Second elder, third elder, fourth elder, please go to West City and investigate. Shangguan Fuxing summoned the other 6 divine emperors in the family to the meeting hall and immediately announced that Shangguan Futu had been killed. What? Futu has been killed? Who dares to attack the Shangguan family? Second elder Shangguan Bao's face darkened when he heard that Shangguan Futu had been killed. He was not only Shangguan Futu's elder, but also his master. When he heard the news of his death, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. It's not clear yet. The heavenly mystery has been deceived, and it can't be divined. Family Master Shangguan Fuxing explained and continued, as for the other elders, follow me to the God-suppressing pagoda. A few days ago there was a prison break in the God-suppressing pagoda. Futu and Murong Xiao chased out of the city and then died. Family Master, if it's found out that Murong Xiao did it, we will report it to the Divine King or Great Elder Shangguan Ku, who had been silent, made a throat-slitting gesture. The Divine King won't care about these fights. If it's really someone from the Murong family who killed Futu, I will bury the entire Murong family with him. Elders, please follow me. Shangguan Fuxing was very angry that his brother had been killed. He rushed to the God-suppressing pagoda with Great Elder and Sixth Elder. Chapter 2542. If you see Murong Xiao, you must stop him at all costs. On the way to the God-suppressing pagoda, Shangguan Fuxing contacted Shangguan Jianyan with a voice transmission stone. Murong Xiao? He just brought a feather god into the dungeon. Shangguan Jianyan responded immediately after receiving the voice transmission. Just now, when Murong Xiao appeared with Yishang, he even went up to greet them and asked about the situation of the escapees. After all, they had been partners for many years. He did not suspect Murong Xiao at all. Hearing Shangguan Jinyan's telepathic message, Shangguan Fuxing immediately said, "Calm him down and wait for me to arrive." Shangguan Futu and Murong Xiao were killed when they were traveling together. Murong Xiao appeared in the God-suppressing pagoda without greeting the Shangguan family. He felt that there must be something wrong. Jianyan will follow your orders. I will go and hold him down immediately. Shangguan Jianyan immediately rushed to the dungeon after receiving the order. Shangguan Fuxing reminded him, Futu probably died at the hands of Murong Xiao. You are not his opponent. Don't act rashly. Just guard the entrance of the dungeon. What? Such a thing happened? Shangguan Jianyan was shocked to hear this. Although the 3 families had conflicts, it was all under the Divine Lord realm. He called Ling Qianzhua and a large number of high gods and feather gods. After activating the defensive array around the god-suppressing pagoda, he waited outside the dungeon with them. He did not send a voice transmission to the high gods inside for fear of alerting them. He waited patiently for the arrival of the Shangguan family leader. At present, there are a total of 121 feather gods and 42 high gods in the dungeon. There are 3 divine lords, but they are not here. They are suppressed in the Shangguan family, the Murong family, and the Ling family. Murong Xiao immediately introduced the situation in the dungeon. He was one of the 3 people in charge of the dungeon and was very familiar with the place. Why don't the 3 families kill these people instead of suppressing them? Night Sorrow went down to the dark and damp dungeon and saw 10 passageways. In each passageway there were 20 cells. Each of these passageways was guarded by a high god. Seeing Murong Xiao's arrival, the 10 high gods all came out of their rooms to pay their respects. Not killing them was the Divine King's idea, but I don't know the specifics. In addition, the cell door was made of a very special material. Even a Divine Lord would not be able to break it open with brute force. The key is with these 10 people. Murong Xiao, who was greeting the 10 high gods, secretly sent a message to Night Sorrow. Then what are you waiting for? Speed was crucial in war. Night Sorrow didn't stop at all and used the Divine Essence Dragon Lock formation to imprison the high gods standing together. Die. Murong Xiao had no qualms about attacking these high gods. The 10 bound high gods were killed one after another before they could even react. As for the key to the cell, it was made of a special material and was not damaged by Murong Xiao's attack. Everyone hurry up and save them. After killing the 10 high gods and obtaining the keys, Night Sorrow released Jing Yun and the others so that they could work together to rescue the high gods. Now is not the time to be emotional. Save them and come back to me immediately. After we leave this place we can talk about old times. After saving the high gods, some of them were emotional and spoke while crying. It was a waste of time. Night Sorrow immediately reminded them and started to set up a teleportation formation. This was already the 5th teleportation formation he had set up. There was one in the valley and one outside Langqi city. Just now he had set up 2 more in the city. One was near the God-suppressing pagoda and the other was further away, very close to the city gate. Yes, let's leave this place first. Saving the people in the dungeon was only the first step. There were still serious difficulties to be overcome. Jianghu also spoke. Under the urging of the Dark Alliance cultivators, who were saving the people, moved faster. The suppressed cultivators were very talented, but after being imprisoned for so many years, each of them was very weak. Most of them were carried out. 119 feather gods and 41 high gods. The other 2 feather gods and 1 high god have died in the dungeon. After saving all the cultivators in the dungeon, the Dark Alliance elder Zhou Tianming and Night Sorrow said, "There is no problem with the number. Everyone enter my spatial artifact and I will take you out." The number of cultivators was the same as what Murong Xiao said. Night Sorrow kept all the cultivators including Jingyun in the Clear Sky Pagoda. He looked at Murong Xiao and said, "Let's go to the teleportation formation. If things can be solved smoothly, I can let you go immediately." "Okay, let's go." Murong Xiao's eyes shone. He did not expect Night Sorrow to be so easy to talk to. The teleportation formation seems to be unusable. Standing on the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow tried and found that it could not be used in the God-suppressing pagoda. He made a prompt decision and said, "Let's go, let's rush out. The other teleportation formation is only 30,000 miles away from the God-suppressing pagoda. We can definitely teleport there." Okay, that's the only way. Murong Xiao had no choice but to take the lead and walk out of the God-suppressing pagoda. Not good. Walking out of the God-suppressing pagoda, Night Sorrow immediately saw Shangguan Jianyan, Ling Tianzhua, and dozens of high gods and thousands of feather gods guarding outside. Formation. Shangguan Jianyan, who had already activated the defensive formation around the God-suppressing pagoda, saw Murong Xiao and Night Sorrow appear and immediately ordered the high gods and feather gods present to form the formation. Many of the cultivators present were from the Murong family. When they saw that the person who came out was Murong Xiao, they naturally did not move. The Shangguan family and Ling family, however, began to form the formation. "Shangguan Jianyan, what is the meaning of this?" Murong Xiao, who realized that something was wrong, pretended to be fine and asked, "Who is this outsider?" Shangguan Jianyan pointed at Night Sorrow and questioned. At this time he was still enduring and did not choose to make a move. "Do it. The matter is definitely exposed. If we don't leave now, I'm afraid it will be too late." Murong Xiao wanted to say something, but Night Sorrow transmitted a message to him and summoned Jingyun at the same time. 7-star Rage. Divine Origin Dragon Locking Formation. Night Sorrow saw from Shangguan Jinyan's eyes that they had been exposed. Without hesitation he used the Light Shaking Formation and the Divine Origin Dragon Locking Formation to imprison Shangguan Jinyan. Then he used the Reincarnation Strike. Shangguan Jinyan did not have time to react at this time and was hit by the Reincarnation Strike. His strength, which was originally a lower Divine Emperor, dropped another level. 9 Heavens Phoenix Cry. At this time Jingyun, who came out of the Clear Sky Pagoda, also used her strongest move. Faced with this situation, Murong Xiao had no choice but to summon his twin hammers and smash at Shangguan Jianyan. Shangguan Jianyan was the weakest Divine Emperor in the Shangguan family. He was attacked by 3 people and did not even have the chance to fight back. He was killed instantly. "Murong Xiao, did you betray us or did the Murong family betray the Divine King?" Ling Tianzhua, who had seen Murong Xiao kill Shangguan Jianyan, retreated outside the defensive formation when Night Sorrow and the others attacked. "This has nothing to do with you. Open the defensive formation and let us go." Chapter 2543. Murong Xiao, do you know what you're doing? Kidnapping the cultivators of Haibei City, killing Shangguan Jianyan, everything will consign you to eternal damnation. Even your family will be implicated. Murong Xiao came out of the dungeon and killed Shangguan Jianyan with Night Sorrow and Jingyun. Ling Tianzhua, who was also in charge of guarding the God-suppressing pagoda, naturally guessed that they had already kidnapped the cultivators of Haibei City. Facing Ling Tianzhua's questioning, Murong Xiao sneered and said, "I'd rather betray the world than let the world betray me. If I, Murong Xiao, lose my life no matter how strong my family is, what's the use?" Then he looked at Ling Tianzhua and said, "Ling Tianzhua, you've worked with me for many years, you should know my character. Let me out, I won't attack you. You'd better wait in the array for everyone to arrive." I've already informed the 3 big families about your attack on Shangguan Jianyan. At this time, the head of the Shangguan family will be here soon. If Murong Xiao and the others were released when Shangguan Fuxing arrived, Ling Tianzhua would definitely be in trouble. Naturally, he would not close the defensive array. What? Shangguan Fuxing will be here soon? That's not right. It shouldn't be so fast. We're finished? Shangguan Fuxing is a high-level divine lord. He's definitely not someone we can fight against. Hearing this, Murong Xiao's heart immediately turned cold. According to Murong Xiao's calculations, they would not be trapped by the defensive array if they immediately left the god-suppressing pagoda after rescuing the cultivators of Haibei City. Now, not only was the defensive array activated, but Shangguan Fuxing was also on his way. This was all unexpected. Why are you panicking? There's still a chance. I'll think of a way to break the array. At this time, Night Sorrow was calm. He knew that everything had its risks, so he did not blame Murong Xiao for not thinking it through. Instead, he opened the Eye of the Sea Serpent and carefully observed the monarch-level defensive array in front of him. This array was worse than the one Long Tianqing had set up for his family, both in terms of defensive power and layout skills. However, he did not have the array diagram, so he needed time to study it. Hurry up, we must break the array quickly. Murong Xiao was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He had killed a member of the Shangguan family. If he was stopped by Shangguan Fuxing, the consequences would be unimaginable. Right now, his face was almost the color of pig liver. Don't argue, he will definitely do it. Jing Yun, who was standing quietly at the side, saw that Murong Xiao was a little noisy and immediately scolded him. She was afraid that he would affect Night Sorrow's state of mind. Ling Tianzhua, who was outside the defensive array, heard the conversation between Night Sorrow and Murong Xiao and immediately laughed. Haha, I didn't hear wrong, did I? A feather god wants to break this Sir God-level defensive array? Should I say that you're overestimating yourself or overestimating yourself? In the face of his mockery, Murong Xiao also laughed. He snorted coldly and said, since the feather god can kill a monarch god, why can't he break a monarch god-level array? I'm afraid you've forgotten that this is the defensive array that the Wuxin Divine King set up before he became a Divine King. I don't know if you're looking down on the Wuxin Divine King or overestimating this feather god. So what if he's the Wuxin Divine King? The array he set up is just SOSO. At this moment, Night Sorrow moved and began to try to break the array. The array patterns of this array were somewhat similar to some of the array patterns in the Jinyuan Divine Lord's cave abode. He used the Eye of the Sea Serpent to study it and figured out what was going on. After he made his move, a corner of the array set up by the Wuxin Divine King was quickly broken. The array is broken, let's go. After breaking a corner of the array, Night Sorrow immediately said to Murong Xiao and Jing Yun. Haha, so what if the array was set up by the Wuxin Divine King? It was still broken by a feather god. Ling Tianzhua, get out of the way and we won't kill you. When Murong Xiao heard that the array was set up by the Wuxin Divine King, he was scared out of his wits. However, Night Sorrow broke the array in a moment, and he immediately felt a sense of joy from escaping death. After his encounter with Night Sorrow, Murong Xiao felt that all the knowledge he had accumulated in several reincarnations had been refreshed. Retreat. After witnessing Night Sorrow of the Feather God realm break the defensive array set up by the Wuxin Divine King, Ling Tianzhua was shocked and scared at the same time. He immediately used his body movement technique and flashed thousands of miles away. He had just witnessed the scene of Shangguan Jianyan being killed, and he knew that he was no match for Night Sorrow and the others. At least you know your place. Seeing Ling Tianzhua retreating with his people, Murong Xiao's face showed a trace of pride. Oh no. We may not be able to escape. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had just broken the defensive array, frowned. His soul power sensed the arrival of a powerful cultivator. Good, very good. Murong Xiao, very good. As soon as Night Sorrow's voice fell, Shangguan Fuxing, who had rushed over with his people, flew over from the horizon. Before landing, Shangguan Fuxing, who was full of killing intent, shouted angrily. He had already received the news of Shangguan Jinyan's death. The insufferably arrogant Shangguan clan had 2 divine emperors killed in one day, including his own brother. This made the usually steady Shangguan Fuxing almost turn into a furious lion. Oh no, the great elder of the Shangguan clan is also here. He is also a middle-level divine emperor. We really can't escape this time. Seeing Shangguan Fuxing arrive with the great elder and the 6th elder, the hope that had just risen in Murong Xiao's heart disappeared in an instant. Shangguan Fuxing was a high-level divine emperor, the great elder Shangguan Ku was a middle-level divine emperor, and the sixth elder Shangguan Ming was a low-level divine emperor. Together with Ling Tianzhua, who would definitely take action, such a lineup was definitely not something the three of them could fight against. No matter how strong Night Sorrow was, he was only a feather god and could not be a match for a high-level divine emperor. As for his Jing Yun, she should not be a match for Shangguan Ku. Shangguan Fuxing, Shangguan Ku. I will kill you. Seeing the three divine emperors of the Shangguan clan, Jing Yun's originally calm face was suddenly covered with hatred. Her eyes were almost burning with flames as she roared loudly. Back when her clan was destroyed, both Shangguan Fuxing and Shangguan Ku had taken action. She remembered very clearly that her mother had been killed by Shangguan Fuxing, remnant of the Jing clan. How dare you show yourself? Don't even think about leaving today. Seeing Jing Yun, Shangguan Fuxing immediately remembered some things from back then and his eyes were bloodthirsty. I won't leave and I will kill you with my own hands. I will avenge my mother. Jing Yun's eyes were almost filled with tears of blood. The scene of her clan's destruction kept appearing in her mind, and it almost made her collapse. Jing Yun, are they the people who destroyed your clan? Don't worry, I will find a way to avenge you. Seeing Jing Yun lose her composure, Night Sorrow patted her shoulder and comforted her. He was afraid that she would go crazy in her bad state. Yes. The Shangguan Fuxing is the murderer who killed my mother. I saw it with my own eyes, my mother. Speaking of this, Jing Yun's eyes were already filled with tears. She was choked with sobs and could not continue. At that time, Shangguan Fuxing had forcefully destroyed her current body, and that bloody mist was her biggest nightmare. It's too late to escape now. We will find a way to destroy them and avenge your clan. Chapter 2544. One was to seize the opportunity to escape into the god-suppressing pagoda and see if they could improve their strength. Night Sorrow would think of a way to become a high god, and Jing Yun would think of a way to become a Sir God. This was a very difficult choice, not to mention whether they could successfully break through the bottleneck. Even if they could succeed, the Shangguan clan would definitely send more Sir Gods, and they might even invite the Divine King Wuxin. After all, this matter was related to Hai Bei City, and Wuxin might be interested. If Wuxin was invited, he and Jing Yun would not be able to resist even if they became high gods and Sir Gods. The second choice also required them to escape into the god-suppressing pagoda. This was mainly to stall for time and not give Shangguan Fuxing a chance to kill them. When the Murong clan arrived, Murong Xiao would persuade the Murong clan master to join forces to kill all the Shangguan clan. If the Murong clan master had enough ambition and courage, he would definitely attack the Shangguan clan when he saw such a good opportunity. 2 of the 8 Sir Gods of the Shangguan clan had died today, and only Shangguan Fuxing, Shangguan Ku, and Shangguan Ming had come to the god-suppressing pagoda. With the help of Night Sorrow and Jing Yun, as long as the Murong clan sent a few Sir Gods, they would be able to kill the 3 Sir Gods of the Shangguan clan. In contrast, Night Sorrow felt that the second choice was more reliable. He had heard from Murong Xiao that there was a Sir God-level cultivation room in the god-suppressing pagoda. This kind of Sir God-level cultivation room could not be broken even by an ordinary Sir God, but it was very expensive. After talking to Jing Yun, he looked at Murong Xiao and said, "Let's return to the god-suppressing pagoda, open a Sir God-level cultivation room, and hide in it to avoid the limelight." Alas, this is the only way. We can live a little longer. Shangguan Fuxing was still some distance away. Murong Xiao sighed and led Night Sorrow and Jing Yun into the god-suppressing pagoda. The rich Night Sorrow spent 200,000 divine crystals to purchase a divine lord-level cultivation room and use it for a year. Jing Yun, you cultivate first and see if you can break through to the Sir God level here. You can pass the tribulation here so you have a chance to break through. At this moment, Jing Yun was still a little emotional. Her eyes were glistening with tears. Night Sorrow had asked her to cultivate mainly to calm her emotions. Within a year, I will definitely break through to become a divine lord. Avenge your family with your own hands. Jing Yun said in a choked voice. She sat in a corner and began to comprehend quietly. Her cultivation had already reached the peak of the high god realm. She only needed to break through the bottleneck to receive the deity tribulation. Currently, her current state was very subtle. Night Sorrow did not urge her to enter the accelerated space of the clear sky pagoda to comprehend. At this time, he looked at the restless Murong Xiao and said, "At present, we only have one way to survive. It's already like this. Do you still have a way out?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Murong Xiao was a little confused. He felt that the 3 of them were just struggling at death's door. Even if 1 year later, with the divine crystals, he could continue to cultivate in the cultivation room, but it would only delay his death by a little. Of course there is a chance to live, and the key point is you. Knight Sorrow nodded and asked Murong Xiao, among the three big families, which one is the most powerful? Of course the Shangguan family is the most powerful. Otherwise I would not be so desperate. Murong Xiao said with a bitter face. He thought that it was nonsense. Then, between the Murong family and the Ling family, who has a stronger background? Knight Sorrow, who was thinking about all the possibilities, continued to ask. The Ling family is related to the Dark Moon Dominator. Although they don't necessarily know the Dominator, their background is definitely stronger than the Murong family. Murong Xiao had a deep understanding of this problem. Among the three big families, the Murong family was the weakest in strength and background. This is the key to the problem. After hearing Murong Xiao's words, Knight Sorrow said firmly, the Murong family has always been the weakest among the three big families. If you were the head of the Murong family and had a chance to kill the giant of the Shangguan family, would you seize it? You mean you want me to persuade the head of the Murong family to attack the Shangguan family? With the head of the Murong family's courage, he will definitely choose to attack when he has the absolute advantage. However, although the three of us and the Murong family Sir Gods can crush the three Sir Gods of the Shangguan family, the Ling family is not easy to deal with. Although Murong Xiao was panicking, he was definitely a smart person. He immediately understood Knight Sorrow's meaning. The problem is that the Ling family's background is stronger than the Murong family's. If the Murong family can defeat the Shangguan family, they will be the ones who will benefit the most. Therefore, at present, the most dangerous ones are not us, but the three Sir Gods of the Shangguan family. Knight Sorrow analyzed the situation clearly and continued, what we need to do now is to wait for the people of the Murong family to come. When the time comes, you and the head of the Murong family will have a clear relationship. Okay. This should be our only chance to survive. I will seize it. Murong Xiao, who had a strong desire to survive, replied and began to think about what to say. If this matter succeeds, I will immediately release you from the oath of the heavenly law and let you return to the Murong family. Knight Sorrow did not like to owe people. If Murong Xiao could persuade the head of the Murong family, it would definitely be a great help to him. He would immediately return the favor. It seems that I have to say something about this matter. With Knight Sorrow's guarantee, Murong Xiao said solemnly, don't worry. This matter concerns our lives. I will do my best. After saying that, he took out the voice-transmitting stone and sent a message to the head of the Murong family. While Murong Xiao and the head of the Murong family were talking, Knight Sorrow was studying the function of the cultivation room. In this cultivation room, there was an area that could bring about the suppression of the divine realm at the level of a Sir God. It allowed the practitioners to comprehend the characteristics of the Sir God's ability in the suppression. This kind of cultivation is indeed very effective. Knight Sorrow, who was cultivating in the Sir God realm, had a deeper understanding of the rules of heaven and earth with the help of the Mirage Dragon's Eye. He had just started cultivating, but the strength of his Taoist body had been further improved. With the progress of cultivation, Knight Sorrow, who had thought that he had reached the peak of the Feather God realm, became stronger again. If I don't break through to the High God realm, will I become the strongest Feather God in the history of the Divine Realm? Knight Sorrow, who was cultivating, entered a very mysterious state. With a deep foundation, his understanding of the Taoist body was gradually approaching that of a Sir God. Soon he completed the High God realm of the immortal divine skill. It's done. The head of the Murong family asked us to go out and provoke the head of the Shangguan family. At that time the Murong family will suddenly attack. Not long after, Knight Sorrow's cultivation was interrupted by Murong Xiao. After receiving the news, he said, ask the head of the Murong family to make an oath to cooperate with us. Of course I will do the same. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Murong Xiao was a little embarrassed. However, he still sent a message to the head of the Murong family. To his surprise, the head of the Murong family did not hesitate at all and immediately made an oath to cooperate with him. In this way the cooperation between the two sides was completed. With the oath binding them, they did not have to worry about the other side going back on their words. Chapter 2545. Patriarch, is a mere feather god worthy of our attention? Do we need to make a heavenly oath to cooperate with him? Murong Xiao wasn't the only one who couldn't figure out why Patriarch Murong Tsanghai was so easy to talk to. Great Elder Murong Kuo was also very puzzled. You don't understand the power of merit. Being able to form a relationship with Yi Shang is my Murong family's fortune. Murong Tsanghai stroked his goatee and explained, people with merit can't be offended. Look at how powerful Shangguan clan is, ruling Langqi Mountain for several reincarnations. Just because we offended him, we started to have bad luck. We lost 2 divine monarchs in one day, and now we're facing a fatal blow. Is the concept of luck really so mysterious? Murong Tsanghai's words made Great Elder Murong Kuo fall into deep thought. It's definitely more mysterious than you think. I've heard of Night Sorrow long ago. He once caused a huge commotion in the Jinyuan Divine Monarch's cave. Even Qin Shiyue ranked 9th on the Feather God list, and the invincible Feather God by Luo hidden by the ruler's manor were no match for him. Murong Tsanghai continued, "It's said that he was only an upper Feather God at that time. How long has it been since then? He's already an invincible Feather God. This proves that he has the chance to become number 1 on the Feather God list. As long as this kind of person doesn't fall, becoming the Divine King is a certainty." They're coming out. Murong Tsanghai, as the patriarch, had more information than Murong Kuo. He admired Night Sorrow very much. But before he finished speaking, he saw Night Sorrow and Murong Xiao appear outside the God-suppressing pagoda. Jing Yun was in a very mysterious state of enlightenment, so Night Sorrow didn't call her. "You 2 bastards, I thought you would hide in there forever. Tell me, how do you want to die?" Shangguan Fuxing immediately scolded when he saw Night Sorrow and Murong Xiao slowly walk out of the God-suppressing pagoda. For several reincarnations, he had been the leader of Langqi Mountain and didn't give anyone face when he spoke. "Shangguan Fuxing, you're good." Murong Xiao was called a bastard. Murong Tsanghai's heart was immediately filled with a nameless fire. That confirmed his determination to attack, but he didn't say anything for the time being. "Beast? I think you, Shangguan Fuxing, are the beast. Your entire Shangguan clan is a beast." Since both sides had agreed to fight, Murong Xiao immediately became arrogant and started cursing the Shangguan clan. "Murong Xiao, you are courting death. Who gave you the courage? Great Elder, go and kill him." Over the past few reincarnations, Shangguan Fuxing had always been the most authoritative person in Langqi Mountain, and he spoke with an air of arrogance. "Patriarch, things are a little strange. Murong Xiao is not stupid. Now that he has come out, he must have something to rely on." First Elder Shangguan Ku realized that they were not invincible here. "What are you afraid of? My Shangguan family's background is not something that his Murong family can compare to. You can be at ease and kill him. If Murong Tsanghai dares to make any moves, I will immediately summon the family's background." As the patriarch, Shangguan Fuxing's intelligence was online. He had strong confidence and obviously had a trump card in hand. "Good. Since the patriarch said so, I will immediately go and kill Murong Xiao." First Elder Murong Ku heard Shangguan Fuxing's voice and immediately became confident. He pointed at Murong Xiao's nose and scolded, "Murong Xiao, you killed 2 of my Shangguan family's monarchs. Today no one can save you." After that, he took out a monarch-level halberd from his spatial device, the Heaven-Killing Halberd, and attacked Murong Xiao with a unique skill. Heaven-Killing Halberd. This move had the taste of destroying heaven and earth, and even the void was torn apart. Divine Dragon Lock Spell. Seeing that this move was so powerful, Night Sorrow was afraid that Murong Xiao would not be able to take it. Immediately, he used the Divine Dragon Lock spell to bind Shangguan Ku and create an opportunity for Murong Xiao. Twin Ghosts slammed the door. Seeing Night Sorrow use this move, Murong Xiao immediately used his twin hammers to perform a unique skill. This move was very stupid. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible to hit an opponent of the same level. However, with Night Sorrow restraining him, Murong Xiao was confident that he could hit Shangguan Ku. Child's play break. At this time, Shangguan Ku, who was trapped in the enclosed space, shook his halberd and used a unique skill to break the enclosed space. Night Sorrow's divine core power was still weaker than Shangguan Ku's and could not trap an authentic middle-level monarch god. "It's useless to break it. Take my hammer." Although Shangguan Ku quickly broke the Divine Dragon Lock spell, Murong Xiao's twin hammers were already in place and smashed toward Shangguan Ku's temples. "Just a low-level monarch god. Let's see what you can do." Facing Murong Xiao's twin hammers, Shangguan Ku was slightly stunned. He counterattacked with his halberd and immediately shook it back. Murong Xiao was a low-level monarch god, 1 level lower than Shangguan Ku. He was indeed weaker than him and was quickly suppressed. Seeing Murong Xiao suppressed, Murong Tsanghai looked curiously at Night Sorrow. He did not know why Night Sorrow did not immediately attack when Murong Xiao was at a disadvantage. Shangguan Fuxing, who was paying attention to the battle, and Murong Tsanghai, noticed Murong Tsanghai's gaze at Night Sorrow. He immediately transmitted a message to someone. "Granduncle, the Murong clan is acting strangely. They want to harm our Shangguan clan. Please come to the god-suppressing pagoda quickly and kill them all. Okay. After a while, a cold voice was transmitted into Shangguan Fuxing's mind. At the same time, a figure meditating in the underground palace of the Shangguan clan immediately got up and rushed toward the god-suppressing pagoda. Seeing this, the people of the Ling clan laughed in their hearts and watched coldly. For them, the scene in front of them was definitely a dog-eat-dog fight. They guessed that after today the three major clans of Longqi Mountain might become two major clans. Night Sorrow, why don't you attack? Murong Xiao, who had been passively taking a beating, thought that Night Sorrow would help him fight 2 against 1. Being suppressed by Shangguan Ku, the battle was very dangerous. Okay, I'll attack now. Withdraw from the battle and I'll fight him. Although Shangguan Ku was a middle-level divine lord, Night Sorrow did not want to fight 2 against 1. He shouted at Murong Xiao to withdraw and stood in front of him. He said, "He's not your opponent. Let's fight." A mere feather god like you dares to challenge this elder? Seeing Night Sorrow standing in front of Murong Xiao, Shangguan Ku immediately disdained him. He had been a middle-level divine lord for many years and was not far from becoming a high-level divine lord. Naturally, he would not put a feather god in his eyes. After all, there was a gap of 5 levels between them. This was a gap that no one in the divine realm could cross. A feather god, take this. Facing a middle-level divine lord, Night Sorrow did not underestimate him. He immediately used the 7-star violent alcade. Then, facing Shangguan Ku, he used a unique skill that he had just learned. Sky-killing divine halberd. This was the unique skill that Night Sorrow had just deduced while watching the battle. It came from Shangguan Ku and was the result of the evolution of the Sea Serpent's Eye. Recently, the Sea Serpent's Eye had been absorbing Night Sorrow's divine origin energy and gradually improved to the level that Sea Serpent Yuan had mentioned. Chapter 2546. Killing Divine Halberd? How is this possible? This is my strongest spear skill. How did you learn it? Seeing Night Sorrow use the Samsara halberd to perform the killing divine halberd, Great Elder Shangguan Ku was obviously stunned. This was an exclusive spear skill that he comprehended based on the killing divine halberd. Logically speaking, it was impossible for it to be leaked. Nothing is impossible. The killing divine halberd that Night Sorrow used, the Samsara halberd, looked exactly the same as Shangguan Ku's, but there were actually differences. Shangguan Ku's killing divine halberd was mainly of the death attribute. On the other hand, Yishan's Samsara heavenly halberd was mainly of the Samsara attribute. Although his divine essence was obviously weaker than Shangguan Ku's, his attack was more powerful. The moves are the same but the attributes are different. His move is of the forbidden attribute. I can't take this move head-on. Shangguan Ku, who realized that this attack was more powerful than his killing divine halberd, immediately gathered his divine essence and used his movement skill, preparing to dodge this attack. Where are you hiding? Take this. Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. Night Sorrow, who used the Samsara attribute killing divine halberd, used up a lot of his divine essence. The Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array's power was ordinary, but it restrained Shangguan Ku, preventing him from using his movement skill. By the time Shangguan Ku destroyed the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array, Night Sorrow's move had already arrived. Death Robe Protect. Realizing that he could not dodge this attack, Shangguan Ku quickly gathered his divine essence to activate the Sir God level robe on his body. This was the only thing he could do in a short period of time. Boom. Shangguan Ku's body immediately flew out after being hit by this move. His strength was instantly reduced by a level from the Samsara attribute. He temporarily fell from a middle-level Sir God to a low-level Sir God. His strength has decreased. Very good. Although this move did not seriously injure Shangguan Ku, it successfully reduced his strength. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with this. The reason why he could simulate the Divine Lord level spear art was not only related to the Sea Serpent Dragon's Eye, but it was also related to his deeper understanding of the Heaven-Earth Law Dao runes. If he had not comprehended it, those attacking moves in the past would definitely not have much effect on the middle-level Divine Lord level Shangguan Ku. After all, the difference in levels between the two was really too great. As the saying went, the other went up. After Shangguan Ku's strength was reduced, he soon found that it was very difficult to fight Night Sorrow again. He was completely not his opponent and was suppressed to the point that he had no power to fight back. And Night Sorrow's divine essence energy seemed to be inexhaustible. Compared to him, a divine lord, it was not in any way inferior. This is the Feather God? How could this be the feather god? There has never been such a feather god in the history of the god realm. According to common sense, Night Sorrow should not even be able to see through his strength, but now he was suppressing him. This made Shangguanku so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He felt that the 7 sovereigns of the god realm might not have been as strong as Night Sorrow when he was the feather god. To be able to fight a divine lord as a feather god, this Yishang is indeed a man of virtue. His battle prowess is indeed impressive. In time his name will definitely shake the entire god realm. Murong Tsanghai, the head of the Murong family, secretly praised in his heart. He was very happy that Night Sorrow was suppressing Shangguanku. This made him think more highly of Night Sorrow. As for whether the cultivators of Hai Bay City were rescued or not, he did not care because he had already prepared an excuse. This feather god is not simple. He can fight a divine lord as a feather god. In the future, when he breaks through to the superior god or divine lord level, who can stop him? Ling Tianxi, the head of the Ling family who had just arrived, frowned when he saw Night Sorrow's bravery. Master, this Night Sorrow has a grudge with the Ling family and killed the people of the sovereign's mansion. Should we find a chance to kill him today? Ling Wuyo, the second elder of the Ling family, transmitted a message to Ling Tianxi. It's simple. If the Shangguan family wins today, we will kill him. If the Murong family wins, we will choose to endure for the time being. But no matter what, those who offend the sovereign's mansion must die. Ling Tianxi's attitude was to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. In his opinion, no matter what happened today, the Ling family would benefit. Sixth elder, the great elder, has shown signs of defeat. Quickly go and help. At this moment, the head of the Shangguan family, Shangguan Fuxing, was still very calm. He did not make a move. He only asked sixth elder, Shangguan Ming, to help relieve the pressure on the great elder Shangguanku. He was quietly waiting for the strength of the family to arrive. Yes, master. After receiving the order, Shangguan Ming immediately rushed to the field. Ah, Shangguan Ming, your opponent is me. We haven't fought for thousands of years. Today, let me see if you have made any progress. Seeing Shangguan Ming enter the field, Murong Xiao immediately jumped out to meet him. In front of him, the Murong family had an obvious advantage in terms of the number of divine lords. Master, this feather god is a bit strange. I'm afraid I'm not his opponent. Why don't you make a move? Seeing that Shangguan Ming was blocked, Shangguanku became more and more frightened. He could not help but ask Shangguan Fuxing for help. Great elder, hold on a little longer. Granduncle is coming. As long as he comes, the Murong family will die. Now, the 4 divine lords of the Murong family, including Murong Tsanghai, were eager to fight. Although Shangguan Fuxing was angry, he did not dare to make a move at this time. Murong Tsanghai was a real upper divine lord like him. Their strength was about the same. He might as well watch. The ancestor has come out of seclusion. Very good, I'll hold on a little longer. Knowing that the strength of the family had come out of seclusion, Shangguanku's heart immediately lit up with hope. He used all kinds of talismans to fight Night Sorrow in a stalemate. Some of the talismans in his hand were at the upper divine lord level. They were personally made by the head of the family, Shangguan Fuxing, and were very powerful. I want to see how many talismans you have. Shangguanku kept smashing talismans. Night Sorrow was indeed a little uncomfortable, but he did not believe that the talismans in his opponent's hands were endless. On the other side, Murong Xiao and Shangguan Ming were equally matched. Murong Xiao was even faintly at a disadvantage. At this time he sent a message to the head of the family, Murong Tsanghai. Head, why haven't you made a move yet? Now that we are holding 2 of them back, can't the 4 of you deal with one Shangguan Fuxing? You don't understand. Since we have chosen to fight the Shangguan family, we must hurt them in one fell swoop. I am not making a move because I am fishing for a big fish. Shangguan Fuxing is as steady as a rock. He must have a foundation. But he must not have thought that the foundation of the Murong family has been revealed today. The 3 reclusive great elders are all in my spatial magic device. While Murong Tsanghai was replying to Murong Xiao, he glanced at the calm Shangguan Fuxing and sneered. Then he looked at Night Sorrow, who was fighting, and said to himself, I hope that I can successfully suppress the Shangguan family by tying the fate of the family to you. The Murong family has been enduring for too many years. We need to fight once. What's going on? Chapter 2547. Everyone was intimidated by Shangguan Xian's words. Although the half-step divine king was also a divine emperor, there was a huge gap between him and an ordinary divine emperor. He was not far from becoming a divine king. Shengguan Xian asked casually. Night Sorrow, who was in the middle of a battle, suddenly felt like his head was about to explode. He stopped and retreated. The others in the battle heard the half-step Divine King's words and returned to their own camps. Murong Xiao deliberately pulled Night Sorrow to where the Murong family was. No one from the Murong family objected to this. At this moment, the head of the Murong family, Murong Canghai, looked at Shengguan Xian and said, I didn't expect to catch you today. Fishing? Junior. How dare you provoke me like this? You're courting death. When Shengguan Xian heard Murong Canghai's words, he immediately understood that something was amiss. It looked like he had shouted angrily and was about to attack, but in fact, he had grabbed the 3 Shengguan family divine lords into his spatial Dharma artifact and was preparing to escape immediately. Since you're here, don't leave. Shengguan Xian, do you still remember how you humiliated me back then? At this moment, an old woman stood in front of Shengguan Xian. She was one of the foundations of the Murong family, the half-step divine king Murong Yen. Back then, Murong Yen, who had not yet reached the divine realm, had been kidnapped by Shengguan Xian for 3 days and 3 nights during her training. When she was sent back to the Murong family, she had been ruined beyond recognition. However, the Murong family was not as powerful as the Shengguan family, so they could only suppress this matter. It was because of this hatred that Murong Yen had completely stimulated her cultivation potential and finally became a half-step divine king. You're already so old. Why don't you just die? The Murong Yen in front of him had already turned into an old woman. Shengguan Xian sneered disdainfully and swung his sword to strike. You're still so stubborn even when you're about to die. If I let you walk out of here today, there's no need for the Murong family to exist. Faced with Shengguan Xian's attack, the old woman Murong Yen immediately used her unique skill to resist. At the same time, the other 2 half-step divine king of the Murong family, Murong Changqing and Murong Ke, also began to attack. Under the continuous attacks of the 3 half-step divine kings, Shengguan Xian was soon forced into a desperate situation. Although he used his ultimate technique, he soon couldn't hold on against the 3 of them. Even Shengguan Fuxing, Shengguan Ku, and Shengguan Ming were released by him. The moment Shengguan Fuxing, Shengguan Ku, and Shengguan Ming came out, Night Sorrow and the Murong family Sir Gods all took action. Very quickly, all of their cultivations were destroyed. In the end, Shengguan Xian, who was the biggest threat, was killed by Murong Yen, who was full of resentment. Retreat. This matter was reported to the Divine King, the Wuxin. Our Ling family can't do anything about it. Now that the dust had settled, there were no half-step Divine Kings present. The Ling family's people chose to retreat silently. Can you hand them over to me? The battle had come to an end. Night Sorrow looked at the Murong family and asked. They had already made a heavenly oath, so he wasn't worried about his own safety. Little friend Yishang, what do you need them for? Murong Canghai, the head of the Murong family, didn't look down on Night Sorrow. He asked with an easygoing smile. My friend who came with me has a blood feud with the Shengguan family. I want to leave these people to her. Night Sorrow naturally felt the goodwill of the Murong family, so he directly told the truth. You wanted these people for Jingyun. I see. Then I'll leave them to you. The 3 Sir Gods of the Shengguan family had all been destroyed. Murong Canghai had achieved his goal, so he didn't mind handing them over. At this time, Murong Canghai continued, as for the High Bay City cultivators you rescued, although this matter involves the Divine King, I'll find a way to solve it. Take your friends and leave quickly. Thank you, Murong family head. Goodbye. Murong Xiao, our cooperation ends here. From now on you'll be free. In addition, I owe the Murong family a favor today. If you need anything in the future, you can represent the Murong family to find me. After putting the 3 Sir Gods of the Shengguan family into the Haotian Pagoda, Night Sorrow transmitted a message to Murong Xiao. If it wasn't for the appearance of the half-step Divine King of the Murong family, Night Sorrow and Jingyun wouldn't have been able to escape. He owed him a favor. Okay, I'll remember it. When I need it, I won't be polite. This time, Murong Xiao didn't refer to himself as this lord. Obviously, he didn't treat Night Sorrow as the feather god. See you later. Before coming to Langqi Mountain, Night Sorrow didn't expect to be involved with the Murong family. After bidding farewell to Murong Xiao and the rest of the Murong family, he walked into the God Suppression Pagoda to find Jingyun. Jingyun, you broke through to the Sir God level? Why isn't there any sound? When Night Sorrow entered the God Suppression Pagoda and saw Jingyun, he immediately discovered that she had passed the Divine Tribulation and successfully advanced to the Sir God level. Maybe it's because the Divine Tribulation in the God Suppression Pagoda blocked her aura. How's the battle outside? Jing Yun's aura was obviously much stronger. As she recovered, her aura rose bit by bit. Her aura was even stronger than Shangguan Fuxing's. This should be due to her powerful bloodline. The battle has come to an end. Night Sorrow drove Shangguan Fuxing and the other two out of the Haotian pagoda and handed them over to Jing Yun. These should be your enemies. You can deal with them as you wish. Wait, don't kill us. I know a secret. Seeing that he was about to be killed, Shangguan Fuxing immediately shouted. Without waiting for Night Sorrow and Jing Yun to speak, he continued, back then you obtained a black diamond-shaped token from Shangguan Lin. That's the key to the Divine King's treasure. If you promise not to kill me, I'll tell you the location of the treasure. Just now in the Haotian pagoda, they met Shangguan Yun and learned that Night Sorrow had obtained the token. How do we deal with them? Hearing this, Jing Yun, who originally wanted to directly attack, hesitated. She knew that if she killed the three of them, Night Sorrow would miss an opportunity. Take revenge, then we'll leave this place. Night Sorrow said without hesitation. He didn't care much about the so-called opportunity. After today's battle, he could already feel the bottleneck. He wasn't far from breaking through to the high god level. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Jing Yun gratefully said a word and then used flames to burn the Shangguan family to death. Although there was a blood feud, she didn't torture them. Now that my strength has advanced to the Sir God level, I'll refine the Azure Phoenix battle armor for you. After taking revenge, Jing Yun was very calm and refined the Azure Phoenix battle armor for Night Sorrow. Not long after, the Azure Phoenix battle armor's grade was promoted to the Sir God level. Chapter 2548. You know very well that I don't care about these empty titles. If I can break through the bottleneck, I will immediately become a high god. After putting on the blue phoenix armor again, Night Sorrow immediately felt that it was different. After reaching the Divine Lord level, it seemed to have a soul. It could breathe and absorb divine essence on its own. This was definitely a rare treasure. Night Sorrow gave the 33 Heaven Star Soul Secret Art to Jing Yun. This is the Star Soul Secret Art from the Divine Lord Jinyuan's cave. It can strengthen a cultivator's divine soul. Your bloodline talent is very strong, so your body should be no problem. If you strengthen your divine soul, you will soon be able to challenge a veteran Divine Lord. Thank you. Also, I just broke through to the Divine Lord level and awakened some hazy memories related to the Phoenix Ancestral Grounds. The Phoenix Ancestral Grounds are located in the Cloud Immortal Continent, Jing Yun said. The Phoenix Ancestral Grounds? Aunt Fei ascended to the Divine World for the Phoenix Ancestral Grounds. I wonder how she is now. Jing Yun's words reminded Night Sorrow of Wu Lingfei. After chatting with Jing Yun for a while, the two of them hurried back to Ocean North City. Long Tianqing was currently negotiating with the Purple Mansion Divine Lord about Wu Lingfei and wasn't in the city. Night Sorrow and Jing Yun went directly to the residence of Night Moon's people. Chem? Why are there so many powerful beings nearby? As they approached the residence, Night Sorrow immediately sensed the presence of more than one Divine Lord. They waited for Night Sorrow and Jing Yun to descend from the sky. A middle-level Divine Lord wearing a yellow Taoist robe and three low-level Divine Lords immediately approached and asked, "Are you Night Sorrow, ranked 9th on the Divine Feather list?" 9th on the Divine Feather list? Hearing this title, Night Sorrow was a bit surprised, but he quickly understood. He must have defeated Qin Shiyue in the Divine Lord Jinyuan's cave. That was why he was ranked 9th on the Divine Feather list. After understanding the cause and effect, he nodded and said, "I am Night Sorrow." "You're Night Sorrow? Then I, Elder Qin Yangzi, must congratulate you." Qin Yangzi, the mid-level Divine Emperor wearing a yellow robe, stroked his goatee and ordered, "Pack up and follow me back to Soaring Heaven Sect." "Follow you back to Soaring Heaven Sect? What do you mean?" Night Sorrow asked with a frown. The other party's arrogance made him feel a little disgusted. "You've entered the top 10 of the Feather Gods list, and the sect master has taken a liking to you. He's prepared to take you as his disciple. Our Soaring Heaven Sect is one of the top 3 sects in Heavenly Cloud's continent. Their foundation is very rich." When Qin Yangzi mentioned Soaring Heaven Sect, his face filled with obvious pride. As he said, Soaring Heaven Sect was not only one of the 7 great sects of Heavenly Cloud continent, but also one of the top 3. "I'm sorry, I won't join Soaring Heaven Sect." Hearing his words, Night Sorrow immediately understood what was going on. In order to save God Jinyuan, he would naturally choose Tianyun School, so he refused. "You won't join? I heard that you're just a rogue cultivator who offended the Dark Moon Ruler's mansion. If you join my Soaring Heaven sect, we'll help you settle all the troubles you've caused. Qin Yangzi's face began to become gloomy. Yi Shang, thank you, but forget it because I already have other choices. As for offending the Dark Moon Ruler's mansion, I'll find a way to solve it myself. Night Sorrow continued. In fact, even if there was no matter with God Jinyuan with Qin Yangzi's attitude, he wouldn't have chosen to join Soaring Heaven sect. Other choices? What choices? You should know that in the entire God realm, there are few sects more powerful than my Soaring Heaven sect. It's just right for a rogue cultivator like you who has no background. Qin Yangzi said coldly. I just want to join Tianyun school, I have no interest in other sects. Please leave. Night Sorrow said with an indifferent expression. Tianyun school? That's the weakest of the 7 great sects. You'd better think carefully. Qin Yangzi's tone became colder and colder, especially when he heard the words Tianyun school. Obviously he had a grudge against Tianyun school. His words, you'd better think it through. His tone was extremely cold and it was already a threat. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. At the beginning, Qin Yangzi's attitude was quite good, so Night Sorrow talked to him politely. At this time, his tone began to become cold. Night Sorrow naturally didn't want to spoil him, so after saying a few words, he walked towards the courtyard. Stop right there. Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to leave, Qin Yangzi completely lost his temper and blocked his path. Today you have to leave. You must come back to Soaring Heaven sect with me. What? You want to take me away by force? Qin Yangzi's battle intent had already risen as Yi Shang asked in a sharp voice. As for Jing Yun next to him, she was ready to fight. This elder has just made it very clear. Qin Yangzi coldly snorted and ordered, take him under control. Daring to disobey the summons of my Soaring Heaven sect, he is simply courting death. Yes, elder. The 3 lower divine lords responded in unison. They surrounded Yi Shang and Jing Yun, preparing to forcefully suppress Yi Shang. I'll give you a chance to retreat immediately, otherwise don't blame me for being impolite. Qin Yangzi and his subordinates wanted to attack at the slightest disagreement. This made Yi Shang's heart burn with rage. Don't blame me for being impolite. Today I'll tell you, not only will I be impolite to you, I'll also be impolite to your family. You've successfully angered this elder. No one can refuse Soaring Heaven sect. As a mid-level divine lord, Qin Yangzi had a sense of superiority, so after being repeatedly rejected, his fighting spirit completely erupted. Who gave you the courage? Facing Qin Yangzi and his 3 divine lords, Night Sorrow was completely enraged. He hated it when people talked about his family, so he immediately summoned his heavenly Samsara halberd. A mere feather god like you wants to resist, ignorant brat. In Qin Yangzi's view, Night Sorrow wanting to resist was simply a mantis trying to stop a chariot, so he shouted and sent a palm towards Night Sorrow. In fact, Qin Yangzi used this palm to test Jing Yun. In his view, Jing Yun was a divine lord, so she naturally posed some threat. However, to his surprise, Jing Yun did not move. 7-star Berserk Light Shaking Art. Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. Heaven Slaughtering Divine Halberd. In the face of Qin Yangzi's attack, Night Sorrow instantly erupted with power and used his most powerful move to resist. Asterisk boom. Asterisk Qin Yangzi, who did not know about the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array, was completely unable to react after being sealed in this sealed space, so Night Sorrow's attack slammed into him and sent him flying. Elder Qin Yangzi. Seeing Qin Yangzi suffer a setback, the 3 low-level divine lords all gathered around him. Bastard. Qin Yangzi, who did not expect to be defeated by a feather god, cursed to himself. Chapter 2549. As an outer sect elder of Soaring Heaven sect, Qin Yangzi was one of the main people in charge of recruiting disciples. Their Soaring Heaven sect's mission was to either take in any good seedlings they found or destroy them. They would never let the other 6 great sects of Cloud Immortal Continent benefit. They were very arrogant and overbearing. This time, Night Sorrow's sudden appearance on the Feather God list and occupying the 9th position immediately attracted the attention of Soaring Heaven sect. They investigated Night Sorrow's background and determined that he didn't have much of a background, so they sent Qin Yangzi and the other 3 divine monarchs, thinking that they could definitely control him. Now, after he'd attacked, Qin Yangzi had been forced back by Yi Shang. This caused him to be utterly humiliated. Kill everyone? Hearing Qin Yangzi's challenge, Night Sorrow was completely enraged. The other party wanted to destroy his family without a word, which had touched his bottom line. Knight Sorrow, who had attacked Qin Yangzi with his halberd again, shouted angrily, "Those who kill will always be killed. Ignorant brat, you were just lucky to succeed, yet you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. This elder has killed more divine monarchs than you have ever seen, and you want to fight this elder?" Facing Knight Sorrow's forbidden spear, the black-faced Qin Yangzi ridiculed before summoning his divine monarch artifact, Azure Peak Sword, and slashed out with a powerful attack. This sword strike had blocked Yi Shan's forbidden spear and forced him to take a few steps back. "You have some strength and might be able to rank in the top 3 of the Feather God list, but you shouldn't have rejected my Soaring Heaven sect. Now die." Azure Peak Heart-Slaying Sword. After taking the initiative, Qin Yangzi immediately unleashed his strongest technique. The Azure Peak Heart-Slaying Sword slashed out and several sword shadows appeared in the sky. These sword shadows were very special and transformed into various heavenly demons. Like a group of demons dancing wildly, they attacked Knight Sorrow one after another. Heavenly demons? How can a cultivator's sword contain evil heavenly demons? Facing thousands of heavenly demons, Knight Sorrow immediately opened his sea serpent's eye. At a glance, he found that most of these heavenly demons were formed by sword chi, but one of them was a real heavenly demon. This heavenly demon's aura was very evil, reminding him of the heavenly demons of Ethereal Mountain that he had seen in the ancient records. Raging Flames Demon Subduing Flames. Unable to use his power of virtue, Knight Sorrow used the Heavenly Halberd, Heavenly Demon Subduing Flames Demon Subduing Flames. The Heavenly Demon Sword's Flames Demon Heavenly Demon Sword. The remaining true heavenly demon was incinerated by the true phoenix flames and immediately hid within Qin Yangzi's 9 feet azure edge sword. Qin Yangzi, you're a dignified cultivator of the deity realm, but you're actually keeping heavenly demons. Of ethereal of heavens. After discovering that Qin Yangzi's 9-foot azure tip sword contained a divine lord-level sky fiend, Knight Sorrow immediately questioned him. Heavenly sects heavens' sect is sect. Sects heavens' heavenly heaves heavenly sect. If he was a spy of ethereal mountain in the god world, he would naturally want to kill any god world genius he saw. Hearing this, even the 3 soaring heaven sects divine monarchs who were fighting Jing Yun swept over with their spiritual energy. Ethereal mountain was the common enemy of all cultivators in the god world. If a cultivator was involved with ethereal mountain, everyone had the right to kill him. Ignorant feather god. Knowing that you're about to be killed, you're starting to slander this elder. It's useless. Having his secret exposed, Qin Yangzi cursed and attacked again. He wanted to kill Knight Sorrow quickly. Rearing heavenly demons was not a small matter. If it was exposed in the god world, there would be no place for him. When I kill you, I'll naturally expose you. Qin Yangzi's words could easily confuse right and wrong, but Knight Sorrow knew that what he saw could not be wrong. There was definitely a heavenly demon in his opponent's sword chi. Furthermore, its aura was very evil and it had not been purified. Samsara Strike. With a low roar, he formed the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array in the air and used the Samsara Halberd to form the Samsara Strike. With this move combined with the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array, Qin Yangzi could not dodge at all. However, just as the Samsara Strike was about to hit him, Qin Yangzi suddenly summoned his heavenly demon and used it to block the attack. The heavenly demon that was hit by the Samsara Halberd deliberately did not defend itself and directly disappeared into the void, leaving no trace of its aura. With the heavenly demon destroyed, Qin Yangzi revealed a smug smile. With the evidence destroyed, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. What are you so happy about? The heavenly demon is gone, but it doesn't mean that you can escape. Seeing Qin Yangzi smile, Knight Sorrow scolded and attacked with the combination of the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array and the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. It's just a small trick. Once again trapped in the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array, Qin Yangzi did not panic. Soon he used a secret technique to break out of the array and blocked the Samsara Halberd's attack with the 9-foot azure edge sword. Much stronger than Shangguangku, but let's fight again. At this time, Knight Sorrow suffered a backlash from the 7 Stars Berserk. He immediately swallowed several Divine Soul Recovery pills and fought with Qin Yangzi again after recovering his condition. However, as an outer sect elder of the Sky Firmament sect, Qin Yangzi had many tricks up his sleeve. Although Knight Sorrow used all of his trump cards, he only fought to a draw with him. With them in a stalemate, Jing Yun's 1 vs 3 battle became the focal point that broke the balance. fighting to a draw with a feather god like Night Sorrow. Although Qing Yangzi was unhappy in his heart, he felt that his side of 3 low-ranked divine lords against the other side's low-ranked divine lord was absolutely guaranteed victory. Therefore he was not in a hurry. However, Qing Yangzi understood that his judgment was wrong. Although Jing Yun had just advanced to low-ranked divine lord, her bloodline talent was rather astonishing. She could even contend with high-ranked divine lords already. Her resonant phoenix cry was simply like a soul-calming song. Each time it sounded, it would reap the life of a low-ranked divine lord. In an instant, all 3 low-ranked divine lords were killed, and she did not expend much energy at all. What formidable strength! This low-ranked divine lord is also someone with outstanding talent. He can probably already challenge high-ranked divine lords. No, I have to think of a way to escape. Realizing how terrifying Jing Yun was and how difficult Night Sorrow was to deal with, Qin Yangzi made a prompt decision. He took out over a dozen divine lord-level divine talismans and threw them all at the courtyard. After throwing out all the divine talismans, he took out 3 divine lord artifacts from his spatial artifact and controlled them to self-destruct, causing trouble for Night Sorrow and Jing Yun. While Night Sorrow and Jing Yun were thinking of ways to resolve the situation, Qin Yangzi successfully escaped. Unfortunately, we actually let him escape. Jing Yun, who had resolved the danger in the courtyard, felt somewhat regretful. Her strength was clearly stronger than Qin Yangzi's. At this time, Night Sorrow opened his mouth and said, letting him escape might not be a bad thing. If there's a chance in the future, we can follow the clues and find out who is behind him. Chapter 2550. Glancing at Night Sorrow, Jing Yun continued, since Senior Tianqing isn't here, why don't we head straight to Tianyun School? We won't be targeted if we stay here. After all, the cultivators of Haibei City are all in the Clear Sky Pagoda. The Divine King who has heard the news will likely rush over. Yes, we should leave. But before that, there are still some things we need to do. Night Sorrow said to Jing Yun before walking with her into the courtyard where his clansmen were. At this moment, the people of the Night Moon Dynasty and Night Sorrow's friends, who had been alarmed by the battle, were all standing in the courtyard. Seeing Night Sorrow and Jing Yun walk in unscathed, Night Sorrow's wife, daughter, and parents all came to his side and asked with concern. The care and concern of his family melted away all of Yishang's fighting spirit. He enjoyed every moment he spent with his family. Zhu Yunxia and Ho Lai congratulated Jing Yun, who had become a monarch god. They felt that she had soared into the sky and would definitely be famous in the god realm in the future. Jing Yun talked about the trip to Mount Langqi. This time she had killed 4 important figures of the Shangguan clan, but 3 of them, including Shangguan Fuxing, were not defeated by her. She felt a little regretful. Now the only monarch god left in the Shangguan clan was the half-step Divine King, who had not appeared in the world. She was no match for him at all. If she wanted to take revenge, she could only continue to improve her strength. Cultivation was endless. It would be many years before she could make a move against the Shangguan clan again. As for those below the monarch god level, she could not kill them unless she had encountered them in the past. Elder Zhuang He Tianyi, what are your plans? After chatting with his family for a while, Night Sorrow invited Zhuang He and the others out of the Clear Sky Pagoda and asked about their plans. If they did not have any plans, he was prepared to bring everyone to the Cloud Immortal continent to search for opportunities. After all, it was one of the sacred cultivation grounds of the God realm. Even some of the rulers of the God realm had cultivated there before they rose to power. We are going to look for the Alliance Master first. We will make a decision after seeing him. Brother Yi, are you coming with us? Before Zhuang He could speak, Yun Tianyi beat him to it. They had discussed this matter in the Clear Sky Pagoda and wanted to arrange for Night Sorrow to meet the Alliance Master of the Dark Alliance, Ao Qingyun, so that both sides could get to know each other. I still have things to do, so I won't be going with everyone this time. I'll be going to Tianyun School in a while. In the future, everyone can just look for Night Sorrow to go to Tianyun School. In response, Night Sorrow politely declined. He still had things to do. In addition, although Yang Kai wasn't clear about Tianyun School's standards for accepting disciples, Soaring Heaven Sect's enthusiasm proved that the Feather God list's ranking was useful. Night Sorrow felt that Tianyun School wouldn't refuse him, so he directly asked everyone to find him at Tianyun School. If I go to Heavenly Cloud Continent, I may join Heavenly Star Pavilion because the Alliance Master is from there. It's really a pity that I can't join the same sect as Brother Yi. His goal was not to join the same sect, which made Yun Tianyi feel very regretful. However, his life was saved by the Alliance Master of the Dark Alliance, Ao Qingyun, so it was impossible for him to abandon him just because of Night Sorrow. It's fine, I heard that Heavenly Cloud Continent isn't big and the 7 great sects often interact with each other. Our strength is about the same, so there will be opportunities to meet in the future. Night Sorrow comforted with a smile. He felt that Yun Tianyi was a good friend. Hearing this, Yun Tianyi almost rolled his eyes, speechless. Come on. Our cultivations are just about the same. The difference in strength is like the difference between heaven and earth. We both rely on cultivation to improve our strength, so why are you so outstanding? Recently, Night Sorrow had fought 2 mid-level divine emperors without falling into a disadvantage, which made Yun Tianyi admire him greatly. You fused with the Divine King's blood essence and have the Divine King's phantom to protect you. I reckon you won't encounter any bottlenecks when you break through to the Divine King level. It's hard to say who will be stronger in the future. Night Sorrow laughed at Yun Tianyi's resentful look. After chatting for a while, he said, "Everyone have a good rest. Today we won't go home until we're drunk." Then Night Sorrow's family prepared a family banquet for everyone present. After getting drunk, Night Sorrow sent Jianghu, Yun Tianyi and the others away. However, he left all of Imo Chanchan's family members behind and brought them to Mount Langqi to find the rest of the Imo family members. Then he entered the Endless Bone region and let them meet Imo Chanchan. After seeing his family, Imo Chanchan thanked Night Sorrow and couldn't help but feel sad for his family members. However, he didn't have the ability to do anything now. He could only pray to Night Sorrow. "Sigh, my family members have suffered so much, but I still have to ask. Big brother, don't worry. Your family is my family. I will treat them all equally and take good care of them. In a few days I will go to Tianyun School in Cloud Celestial Continent. In the future, when my strength increases, I will help you reconstruct your golden body." Night Sorrow respected Imo Chanchan very much. He didn't wait for him to finish speaking and made a promise. "With your words I can rest assured." Imo Chanchan smiled and nodded. However, his expression turned serious. Recently, there have been some strange movements in the sky reaching Bone Pagoda. You must be careful. I'm afraid that the true master of the Bone Pagoda will harm you. After all, you are the 9th person to have the Bone Pagoda recognize you as its master. If he wants to come, I will accept it. As Night Sorrow spoke, he raised his head and looked at the sky reaching Bone Pagoda. He felt like someone was standing in the Bone Pagoda and looking at him. These words were for the Bone Pagoda to hear. No matter what, you must be careful. My suggestion is that you quickly increase your strength and surpass me at my peak. Otherwise, I don't feel confident. Imo Chanchan also locked his gaze on the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda. He sighed as he recalled some things from the past. Back then, the crises were linked and seemed flawless. However, he felt like something was being manipulated. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would also encounter misfortune. "Don't worry, brother. Whether it's for my family or for myself, I will increase my strength as soon as possible." Night Sorrow knew what had happened back then. When he spoke to Imo Chanchan, he pondered if he should impart the secret technique of the Trayastrimsa astral soul to him. However, when he thought of the Bone Pagoda's strange behavior, he ultimately chose to give up. After leaving the Endless Bone region, Jingyun went to find Feng Ling, who had stolen her bloodline, for revenge. Night Sorrow entered Divine Lord Jinyuan's cave abode again. When he arrived, he imparted the astral soul secret technique to him. Divine Lord Jinyuan gave Night Sorrow a secret technique, the Trayastrimsa battle secret technique. The complete version of the Trayastrimsa battle secret technique could increase one's battle strength by 33 times. It was extremely terrifying and rare. However, Divine Lord Jinyuan only received an incomplete version. It could only increase one's strength by 10 times. However, even so, it was still better than a 7-star berserk. Furthermore, the backlash would be much smaller. Apart from that, Divine Lord Jinyuan also imparted all his cultivation experience to Night Sorrow, allowing him to benefit greatly. Chapter 2551. When Night Sorrow brought his family to Jingyun, she had already killed Feng Ling, but she was very unhappy. She had brought Ho Lai and Zhu Yunxia to find Geng Chen, but by the time they found him, his cultivation had already been crippled. "Geng Chen, what happened?" Night Sorrow immediately asked out of concern when he saw that Geng Chen's cultivation had been crippled and his face was as white as a sheet. He discovered that Geng Chen's injuries were the same as Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo. Their dantians had been destroyed, but he wasn't as worried. After all, Long Tianqing could heal such injuries. "AI, that bitch. She entered the Sky Martial Gate, one of the 7 great sects of the Cloud Immortal Continent, and caught the eye of an invincible high god on the god ranking. When she saw me return, she, who was already a high god, expressed her loyalty to him and crippled my cultivation. Speaking of this matter, Gang Chen's fists were tightly clenched together. He had never imagined that the person he thought about day and night would actually do such a heartless thing. A woman's heart was the most poisonous. He completely understood the meaning of this saying. There's nothing to miss about a woman like that. Senior Tianqing can heal your injuries. Don't worry, you'll recover. Night Sorrow comforted Gang Chen, who was extremely weak and in low spirits. Long Tianqing could indeed heal Gang Chen, but she had already gone to find the Violet Mansion Divine Lord to discuss the matter of Wu Lingfei. It would take time for her to appear again. After all, it wasn't easy to travel across the Lord's domain. In the future, I'll definitely kill that adulterous couple with my own hands. Thinking of the humiliation he had suffered, Gang Chen's eyes were filled with hatred. He hadn't returned for many years, so it wasn't incomprehensible that his wife had gotten together with someone else. But to attack him was too much. There's no need for in the future. We'll take you to get revenge now. You should be able to find them, right? After understanding what had happened, Yi Shang, who was also furious, immediately spoke. With Gang Chen's talent, it was almost impossible for him to find an expert on the god ranking for revenge. But if he was with Jing Yun, defeating an expert on the god ranking shouldn't be a problem. It was better to take revenge. It's all my fault. Seeing that Gingchen was injured, I was in a hurry to bring him back for treatment and forgot about revenge. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, a trace of regret immediately appeared on Jing Yun's face. However, she was only concerned about Gang Chen's injuries and neglected other things. Yes, I can find it with my eyes closed. The place where they live now was originally mine. Gang Chen clenched his teeth and said, Jing Yun, you've already cultivated to the God Monarch realm. Try using your God Essence energy to suppress the chaotic God Essence energy in Gang Chen's body. This will lessen his pain. With the experience of saving Lin Piaomiao and the others, Night Sorrow was very familiar with this kind of injury. He asked Jing Yun to help treat it. Gingchen, who was being treated by Jing Yun, felt the pain in his body lessen a lot. He began to point the way as sweat dripped down his forehead. Half a month later, they appeared in front of a valley covered in green grass. Trash, didn't I tell you to never come back? This valley is already ours. As soon as Night Sorrow and Jing Yun appeared with Gingchen, a beautiful female cultivator shouted harshly in the valley. She didn't use her divine sense to check the cultivation levels of Night Sorrow and Jing Yun. Furthermore, the two of them didn't release their God Essence energy. Subconsciously, she thought that since they had come together, their strength should be about the same as Gingchen's and that they wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. Vicious woman, you think you're in the right when you're occupying a magpie's nest? Gingchen scolded. Today I must seek justice. Seek justice? Do you have the strength to do so? You found 2 pieces of trash and you want to challenge us? In the eyes of the beautiful female cultivator, her adulterer, Ho Qingyuan, was an important disciple of the Sky Martial sect. He was also an expert on the divine list. He was an invincible existence. After scolding him, she shouted, Husband, someone is causing trouble. Come out and clean up the house. Bitch, I only want to ask you one thing. Where is my child? Gingchen, who was being supported by Night Sorrow, shouted in a trembling voice. Child? What child? Don't tell me that you still think Exener is your flesh and blood? Lin Change said with a disdainful smile. Her meaning was obvious. Before Gingchen left this place, he had already been accused. Even the child wasn't his. Bitch, you deserve to die. Hearing that the child wasn't his, Gingchen felt as if he'd been struck by lightning. Deserve to die? Who are you calling deserving to die? I think you've forgotten the pain after the scar healed. Lin Change said sharply. Then she roared, Now you can die knowing the truth. Go to hell. You shouldn't have come back. I let you go once but you still came back to die. Don't blame me for being ruthless. As she roared, she used the 7-section whip in her hand to strike Gingchen, who was unsteady on his feet. Your eyesight is too poor. In the face of Lin Change's attack, Yi Shang scolded disdainfully. With a wave of his hand, he shattered the whip and slapped her across the face. She was just an ordinary lower-grade deity. He had no trouble dealing with her. What? So strong? Husband, come out. I'm about to be killed. Realizing that Night Sorrow was stronger than her, Lin Change covered her face and screamed for help. She was scared out of her wits. He's here. Why are you panicking? You belong to me, Ho Qingyuan. Who dares touch you? At this moment, a sinister voice came from the valley. Ho Qingyuan flew to Lin Change's side. Seeing Lin Change's swollen face, he immediately flew into a rage. Who did this? It was me. What are you going to do about it? Night Sorrow glared. Now that the two main characters were here, he was ready to attack. What am I going to do about it? Of course, I'm going to cripple all of you and make you useless for eternity. Jingyun had never released her aura. As an invincible great deity, Ho Qingyuan didn't realize how strong she was. He thought she was just an ordinary lower great deity. Night Sorrow was a feather deity. He didn't think much of him. Immortal Desolate Heavenly Martial Seal. As soon as he said that, Ho Qingyuan summoned a divine artifact that looked like a jade seal. He controlled it and sent it towards Night Sorrow and the others. He wanted to crush them all into meat paste. Trayastrimsa Heaven's secret battle technique. Facing Ho Qingyuan's attack, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Jingyun, telling her not to attack. He used the Trayastrimsa Heaven's secret battle technique to increase his strength by 10 times. Then he punched the seal that was coming at him. You're courting death. Seeing that Night Sorrow, a feather deity, actually used his fist to block the immortal desolate heavenly martial seal, Ho Qingyuan's face revealed a mocking smile. Boom. At this moment, Night Sorrow, whose strength had increased by 10 times, sent the immortal desolate heavenly martial seal flying with a punch. How is this possible? Seeing the immortal desolate heavenly martial seal flying, Ho Qingyuan was stunned. He didn't understand how a feather deity could unleash such terrifying strength. Nothing is impossible. You've humiliated Gingchen before. Today I will return all of it. Night Sorrow roared. He used the Samsara Heavenly Halberd to attack with the Samsara Strike and used the Divine Origin Dragon Locking Array to bind Ho Qingyuan. Chapter 2552. Ho Qingyuan had no chance to dodge the Reincarnation Strike. His divine domain was shattered by the halberd, and his defensive sorcerer's robe was torn apart. He was seriously injured and his divine soul was damaged. His strength had decreased a lot and he had no power to fight back. He was easily defeated. I, Ho Qingyuan, am ranked 93rd on the divine list? How could I lose to a feather god? How is this possible? Is he a feather god or a divine lord? Damn it. Didn't they say Gingchen didn't have any backers? Where did he get to know such a freak? Ho Qingyuan's heart collapsed when he realized he had no chance at all. However, it was too late to regret now that things had developed to this extent. Facing Night Sorrow, who was about to attack again, he threatened him with a cold face. You are very powerful and I am no match for you. However, I am a core disciple of the Heavenly Martial Sect, and my master is Divine Lord Purple Eagle. If you touch me you will definitely suffer endless losses. Not only you but everyone around you will also die. I will give up this valley and this woman and we will live in peace. Husband, you can't give up on me and Yen. Ho Qingyuan had just fought one round with Night Sorrow, and he had already admitted defeat and given up on her. Lin Change was so scared that she started to cry. What do you know? Get lost. Seeing Lin Change pouncing on him, Ho Qingyuan kicked her away, fearing that he would be associated with her. Live in peace. You adulterers crippled Gingchen's cultivation, and now you want to live in peace? Let me tell you, it's useless to bring up anyone. Gingchen, you deal with them. I will help you deal with them no matter what. No matter who is behind them. Ho Qingyuan still did not forget to threaten. Night Sorrow said disdainfully, and then preached to Gingchen, asking him to deal with today's matter. Okay. I will deal with them. Gingchen, whose cultivation had been crippled, had hatred in his eyes that could not be described with words. He squeezed out the words from between his teeth and then continued, Brother Night Sorrow, now that I don't have the ability to fight, please help me cripple their cultivation. I want them to experience what it feels like to be a cripple. Okay. Those who humiliate others will be humiliated. This is called karma and retribution. Hearing Gung Chen's words, Night Sorrow immediately prepared to make a move. He didn't want to cripple other people's cultivation, but he could really do it to Ho Qingyuan and Lin Change. Don't. We can discuss this matter. My sect and my clan will compensate you. But how many divine crystals do you want? I'll give you as many as you want. Don't cripple my cultivation. It took me several cycles of cultivation to achieve what I have today. Seeing that Night Sorrow was really going to make a move, Ho Qingyuan, who was afraid of being crippled, immediately begged for mercy. At the side, Lin Changji was so frightened that she knelt at Gingchen's feet and begged for mercy. Gingchen, please let me go. I promise you that I will be obedient to you in the future. Scram. I don't need AB*TCH like you to obey me. Brother Night Sorrow, do it. There was no pity in Gung Chen's eyes. It wasn't that he was heartless, it was that the other party had gone too far. If you hadn't crippled Gung Chen, I definitely wouldn't have crippled your cultivation. All of you brought this upon yourselves. Before making a move, Night Sorrow said word by word. He didn't have the slightest bit of pity for Ho Qingyun and Lin Changji. Night Sorrow, your name is Night Sorrow. I've already spread your name. It won't be long before my sect and my clan join forces to hunt you down. Seeing that Night Sorrow had no intention of stopping, Ho Qingyun, who was temporarily out of control, shouted loudly. He used his movement technique to rush toward Gingchen, whose cultivation had been crippled. He wanted to control him and use him to threaten Night Sorrow. Futile struggle. Facing Ho Qingyuan's sneak attack, Night Sorrow coldly berated him. He shot out a forbidden spear and directly pierced Ho Qingyuan's dantian. Ho Qingyuan, whose dantian had been pierced, immediately howled with a sinister expression. He looked like he was in great pain. No, don't do anything to me. I can serve you. As long as you don't cripple my cultivation, I'll do anything. Seeing Ho Qingyuan's miserable appearance, Lin Changji, who was kneeling on the ground, quickly kowtowed and begged for mercy. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too ruthless. Now eat the fruit of your own actions. Facing Lin Changji, who was begging for mercy, Night Sorrow didn't hesitate at all. He struck with the Samsara halberd and completely destroyed her dantian. You're so cruel. You'll die a horrible death. Lin Changji, whose dantian had been pierced, was in so much pain that her face was covered in sweat. She kept scolding Night Sorrow and Gingchen. Bah! Vicious woman, to think that I missed you every day in the endless bone realm. Get out of here right now. Both of you disappear from my sight immediately. Gingchen couldn't help but curse after being continuously cursed by Lin Changji. After being scolded by him, Lin Changji, who heard that there was a chance to live, immediately rolled and crawled away with Ho Qingyuan. They looked very miserable. For cultivators, having their cultivation crippled is more painful than dying. They only have themselves to blame for ending up like this. You don't have to worry. Your injuries will definitely be healed. Gingchen kept staring at the direction they left, his face carrying a trace of emotion. Night Sorrow opened his mouth to console him. Sigh. Hearing Night Sorrow's consolation, Gingchen sighed. He was clear that his physical injuries could be healed. But who knew how long it would take to heal the trauma on his heart? Are we still going in this valley? Gingchen was clearly somewhat sad. Night Sorrow opened his mouth to ask. Forget it. Going in is also adding to my troubles. Now that I have nothing to worry about, I'll stay by Night Sorrow's side and cultivate properly in the future. Gingchen, who was deeply moved in his heart, turned around and no longer looked back. In the past it was the place he missed the most. But now he didn't want to take another look. Next we'll head to Tianyun School. This trip might be full of variables. All of you enter the vast heaven pagoda. In the future, if I confirm that there are no problems with Tianyun School, everyone can come out and join together. After settling this matter, Night Sorrow had everyone enter the vast heaven pagoda. He rushed to Tianyun School's location at full speed. This time he had fought Marquis Qing Yuan, who had used the Trayastrimsa Heaven's secret combat technique. This allowed Night Sorrow to gain a better understanding of his own strength. At the same time, he also understood that there was no such thing as the strongest in the world, only stronger. He might be an unprecedented powerhouse of the Feather God realm, but it was hard to say whether there would be a successor. In an instant, Night Sorrow had a realization. He was only a paper's breadth away from becoming a high god. As long as he settled down and entered the vast heaven pagoda, he would soon welcome a breakthrough. He was prepared to do this after arriving at Tianyun School. At the same time, the main cities of the 7 regions all became lively. Countless cultivators gathered in front of the Feather God Roll and High God Roll to witness a strange record. Chapter 2553. Night Sorrow hadn't been famous before, but his sudden rise to 9th on the Feather God list had attracted a lot of attention. Although his position remained unchanged, he was now ranked 93rd on the High God list. This meant that he wasn't just an invincible Feather God, but an invincible High God. It was the first time in the God realm that someone had become an invincible High God before becoming a High God. Not even Sovereign Tianai, the current #1 expert of the God realm, had been this powerful. Night Sorrow was truly a man who had shocked the world with a single brilliant feat overnight. The major sects of the Cloud Immortal continent and the various major powers of the God realm sent people to search for Night Sorrow, hoping to recruit him. One of the sovereigns even said that he wanted to take him as his personal disciple. However, Night Sorrow was extremely special. He had the power of virtue protecting him and could not be divined. No one was able to find his location. In fact, most cultivators only knew of Night Sorrow, but did not know what he looked like. For a time, countless versions of the story spread throughout the God realm. Some said that Night Sorrow was the son of a sovereign. Others said that he was the reincarnation of a sovereign. There were even some who described him as a giant or a ferocious beast. A year later, Yi Shang, who had heard of these things but had not paid too much attention to them, finally arrived at his destination, the foot of Tianyun Mountain where the Tianyun clan was located. Skycloud Mountain was composed of several floating mountain ranges that stretched between the clouds. It was glorious and majestic, and the divine spiritual chi in these mountains was very rich. From a distance, one could see dragons soaring in the sky and phoenixes soaring in the sky. It was a majestic sight. What a powerful protective mountain formation. It's at least on the level of the Divine King. As one of the 7 great sects of the Cloud Immortal continent, the Tianyun school is truly something else. Standing at the base of Skycloud Mountain, Night Sorrow decided that he couldn't force his way in, so he wandered around the area. Before long he encountered a few powerful feather gods and high gods. These people rode divine birds and strange beasts to the base of the mountain. Night Sorrow immediately flew up to greet them, cupped his hands and asked, "Are you all from the Tianyun school?" "We're not from the Tianyun school, but we're here to join the Tianyun school." "Are you also a cultivator who wants to join the Tianyun school?" A young master sitting on the back of a goshawk humbly replied. Around him were more than a dozen young masters and young ladies. These people's equipment and mounts were of good quality, and they each had their own servants and attendants. "My name is Yeyue, and I do want to join the Tianyun clan. I wonder how the Tianyun clan accepts disciples." His name had already spread throughout the realm of the gods. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he used the name Yiyu, which came from the Yiyu dynasty. "Don't tell me you're from the same family as that Yi Shang who rose to power overnight? There aren't many cultivators with that surname in the God realm." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, a young and beautiful female cultivator joked. "My name is Mei Ruoxue. I'm from the region ruled by Tianai. I'm ranked 20th on the Feather God list." "Nice to meet you." Night Sorrow smiled but didn't answer her question. He never lied, so he couldn't respond. "Mei Ruoxue, why did you mention the Feather God list?" "You're just showing off." The young master who spoke first mocked the female cultivator. "I'm Si Kongxiang. Nice to meet you, Brother Yi. There are 3 ways to join the Tianyun school. The first is to wait for the once-in-a-century disciple recruitment ceremony. The second is to be chosen by the higher-ups of the Tianyun school. The third is to climb the Sky Cloud ladder. There are still 30 years until the Tianyun school's disciple recruitment ceremony. We don't know the higher-ups of the Tianyun school, so if we want to join the Tianyun school, we can only climb the Sky Cloud ladder." "What's the Sky Cloud ladder?" Night Sorrow, who didn't know anything about this, asked curiously. He wanted to understand the rules. The Sky Cloud ladder is the divine artifact of the Tianyun school. It has a total of 108,000 steps. Cultivators of the Feather God realm can join the Tianyun school as long as they can climb the 8,000 steps. Si Kongxiang pointed to a high god cultivator beside him and said, "As for a high god like Brother Fong, you have to climb the 18,000 steps." "I see." Night Moon thanked Brother Sikong once again. "Would it be possible for me to travel with you?" Night Sorrow, who didn't know the exact location of the Sky Cloud ladder, asked. "Of course. We can't wait for more people to be valued by the school," Mei Ruoxue said with a smile. "Good. Thank you for taking care of Night Moon then." Night Sorrow cupped his fists again and introduced himself to the others. Among the cultivators present, Mei Ruoxue and Si Kongxiang were the most talented. One of them was ranked 20th on the Feather God list, while the other was ranked 15th. They were already quite famous in the realm of the gods. As for the others, most of them had met along the way. Although they were quite talented, they weren't considered the best among their peers. The 5 high gods present were much weaker than Ho Qingyuan, who Night Sorrow had defeated. They probably wouldn't be able to defeat Ho Qingyuan even if they worked together. "Brother Yi, where are you from?" The cultivator closest to Night Sorrow asked as the group flew towards the Sky Cloud ladder. He was the weakest in the group. His name was Han Qianfan and he came from the region ruled by Qinin. It took him several years to reach the sky cloud ladder, so he was a bit nervous. I come from the region ruled by the dark moon. Brother Han, are you a bit nervous? Knight Sorrow asked when he saw that Han Qianfan's expression was a little unnatural as he stood on the back of the flying mount. I'm a bit nervous. Joining the Tianyun school was my father's last wish. I'm afraid I can't do it. Han Qianfan explained. He had come with his father's last wish. If he couldn't join the Tianyun school, he would regret it. Do your best and leave the rest to fate. I think you can definitely stay. Knight Sorrow comforted him. He felt that if he had the chance he would help Han Qianfan. He appreciated Han Qianfan's filial piety. Everyone be careful. We're almost at the sky cloud ladder. Don't make a ruckus when we get there. We don't want to offend the strong cultivators in the sect. Si Kongxiang, who was ranked 15th on the Feather God list, reminded them when they were about to reach the sky cloud ladder. Brother Sikong, you seem to be very familiar with the Tianyun school. Have you been here before? Han Qianfan asked when he heard Si Kongxiang's reminder. Yes, my uncle is an outer sect elder of the Tianyun school. I've been here with him a few times. However, this is my first time climbing the sky cloud ladder. Si Kongxiang replied with a smile. He had an easygoing personality and didn't overlook Han Qianfan just because he was weak. I see. Please take care of me later, Brother Sikong. Han Qianfan was very envious that Si Kongxiang had connections in the Yamen. We're here. The one waiting in front is my uncle. Everyone keep quiet. Everyone chatted along the way and soon flew to a mountain peak and arrived in front of a huge stone door. Si Kongxiang pointed at a middle-aged cultivator in front of the stone door. Ah, my good nephew, you're really ostentatious. Didn't we agree to let you and Ruoxue come together? Why did you bring so many friends? The middle-aged cultivator waited for everyone to come closer before lecturing Si Kongxiang with a smile. However, he wasn't angry. Chapter 2554. Thank you, Elder. Thank you, Brother Sikong. At this moment, everyone except Mei Ruoxue finally understood that the sky cloud ladder was not something that could be climbed by anyone. Everyone, including Knight Sorrow, quickly expressed their gratitude to the uncle and nephew. Don't mention it, everyone. If more of you pass this test, my third uncle will also gain a lot of benefits. Si Kongxiang said with a smile. He did not take the fact that he had helped everyone seriously. Then a group of more than 10 people, led by Sikong Hanshin, slowly passed through the stone gate. Beyond the stone gate, there were many huge mountains, jade palaces, waterfalls, and heavenly lights. It was much more spectacular than when they were at the foot of the mountain. Looking straight ahead, about 100,000 miles away, there was a stone staircase that went straight into the sky. It was Tianyun School's most precious treasure, the Sky Cloud Ladder. The Sky Cloud Ladder is really magnificent. In front of the towering Heaven Cloud Ladder, many cultivators were as insignificant as ants. Even Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked second on the God of Feathers list, was amazed. Of course, I told you. Si Kongxiang said proudly. All right, everyone follow me. Let's stop chatting. At this time, the outer court elder Sikong Hanshin opened his mouth and said. He then led the crowd towards the sky cloud stairs. After passing through the stone gate, they officially entered the area of Tianyun School. Flying was forbidden. They walked for a while and arrived at the bottom of the sky cloud ladder. The rules of the sky cloud ladder are simple. You have to climb with all your strength. However, only one person can climb at a time. Who wants to go first? At this moment, there was no one around the sky cloud ladder. Sikong Hanshin asked casually. Why don't I go first? I am the weakest. I will test the waters for everyone. Han Qianfan, who had been very nervous, was the first to step forward unexpectedly. Brother Qianfan, good luck. Brother Qianfan, I wish you success. Everyone got along well. When Han Qianfan stepped forward, everyone immediately gave him their blessings. Thank you, everyone. I will do my best. Han Qianfan took a deep breath and bowed to the crowd before walking up the sky cloud staircase. When he stood in front of the sky cloud staircase and was about to climb it, Sikong Hanshin said, the minimum threshold for entering the divine feather realm is 8,000 steps. However, if you have the energy to spare, it's best to climb with all your might because the higher you climb, the more attention you will receive in the sect. Thank you for your guidance, Elder. After speaking to Sikong Hanshin, Han Qianfan slowly stepped onto the sky cloud staircase and started to climb up bit by bit. Cultivators climbing the sky cloud staircase was, in fact, similar to mortals climbing a mountain. However, as the number of steps increased, the pressure they faced would increase. Han Qianfan climbed the first 1,000 steps very quickly and soon he was done. When he climbed the 1,000 to 2,000 step, his speed slowed down a little. By the time Han Qianfan reached 3,000 Dao essences, he was already moving slower and slower. In the end, although he worked very hard, he was only able to climb the 3,700 steps because of his lack of strength. He did not meet the standards of Tianyun school at all, so he failed to challenge the heaven cloud ladder. Since the first person had failed, everyone was a little nervous. Just as they were discussing who the second person would be, a gloomy voice sounded. Sikong Hanshin. Why do you bring all kinds of Tom, Dick and Harry to climb the sky cloud ladder? Aren't you ashamed of yourself for being such a piece of trash? The person who spoke was a middle-aged female cultivator who had walked in through the stone door. Her words were very harsh. Han Qianfan, who had already suffered a blow, was so ashamed that he could not show his face. He hurriedly apologized to Sikong Hanshin. Elder Sikong, I'm useless. I've embarrassed you. It's fine. It's not your fault. She's a B** to begin with. Sikong Hanshin snorted and said angrily, Fu Hongxue, what are you doing here? Fu Hongxue was an outer sect elder like him. There was a certain amount of competition between the two of them, so they did not get along very well. I'm here to bring a new disciple to climb the sky cloud ladder. Get the trash beside you to move aside. We'll go first. Fu Hongxue scolded arrogantly. He then looked at a feather god beside him and said, Go, show your strength. Yes, elder. The feather god cultivator immediately rushed up the sky cloud ladder after hearing the order and started climbing. Before long, he had reached the feather god realm's passing mark. He climbed 8,000 steps, but he was not satisfied with this. Soon he reached the 10,000 step. Elder, I'm lucky to have accomplished this task. When he reached the 10,000 step, he felt that he had no strength to continue climbing, so he bowed to Fu Hongxue. Good, very good. From now on, you are an outer sect disciple of the Tianyun school. Fu Hongxue praised and then looked at Sikong Hanshin provocatively. Do you see that? This is what it means to climb the sky cloud ladder. It's just climbing the 10,000 step. What's there to be arrogant about? Sikong Hanshin was very unhappy with Fu Hongxue's provocation. He shouted, Xiang, go and slap their faces. Yes, your nephew obeys. Sikong Xiang, who had received the order, immediately rushed towards the sky cloud ladder. When he reached the sky cloud ladder, he sprinted all the way and quickly surpassed the 10,000 steps of the previous cultivator. Then Sikong Xiang continued climbing step by step. In the end, his result was 14,562 steps. 14,562 steps. What do you say now? Sikong Hanshin was very happy to see Sikong Xiang's outstanding result. What do I say? Do you dare to bet with me on what I want to say? Let's have a good test and see who has more talent. Fu Hongxue smiled insincerely. Let's bet. What do you want to bet on? Sikong Hanshin said disdainfully. He knew that he had Sikong Xiang, who was ranked 15th on the feather god list, and Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th. These two people had a relatively high status among the feather gods in the realm of the gods. If you lose, you have to give me something. If you win, I'll give you a monarch-grade artifact. Fu Hongxue said indifferently. Okay, it's a deal. Fu Hongxue nodded and looked at another cultivator. You go this time. Don't hold back. Yes. This feather god cultivator's aura was very strong. He quickly surpassed Sikong Xiang's 14,000 steps. Finally, he passed the 15,000 step. After the challenge, Fu Hongxue immediately mocked Sikong Hanshin, which made him very unhappy. Chapter 2555. Haha, Sikong Hanshin, looks like you're going to lose. Of the people that Sikong Hanshin had brought, only Night Sorrow and the 5 exalted gods had not climbed the sky cloud stairs. Fu Hongxue laughed out loud. Sikong Hanshin did not see how strong the feather god she had brought was, and she did not see how strong Night Sorrow was either. Night Sorrow did not know if the two of them were really like fire and water, or if they were just friends from the same sect. They did not want to display too much strength, as that would make it difficult for them to keep a low profile in the sect. After all, Mei Ruoxue and Sikong Xiang were both in the top 20 of the feather god list. The person who had defeated them was even more powerful. If someone had the chance to reach the top 10 of the feather god list, no matter which sect they joined, it would not be peaceful. Night Sorrow did not know the exact situation of the Tianyun school and did not want to reveal too much. I did not expect you to find such a strong feather god. I was too confident this time. Tell me, what do you want? Although the exalted gods here could climb the sky cloud stairs, their results would not be counted in the competition. As for Night Sorrow, Sikong Hanshin did not see his strength at all because he had been hiding his aura. Furthermore, the top 10 of the feather god list were not easy to deal with. He did not think that Si Kongxiang would make friends with someone like that. It is not important. You can do whatever you want. However, I am very happy to see you lower your head. Fu Hongxue knew that Si Kongxiang was Si Kong Hanshin's nephew, and Si Kong Hanshin had high hopes for him, so she purposely appeared to attack them. As for the prize of the bet, she didn't care at all. Alright, in that case I will give you a monarch god spear. Hearing this, Si Kong Hanshin took out a monarch god spear from her spatial artifact and handed it over. This spear was of good quality. It was clearly not something that had been crudely made. It seems like your request is not too much. In that case I will keep a low profile. Seeing that no one was causing too much trouble, Night Sorrow decided to conserve his strength when climbing the sky cloud stairs. Yanzheng, this elder will gift this spear to you. With your talent, you will definitely have some accomplishments in the sect. Advancing to Divine Lord is only a matter of time. Fu Hongxue took the spear and handed it to the male cultivator who had just climbed the 15,000th step. Thank you, elder. Yanzheng took the spear and played with it for a while. Then he stored it in his spatial magic tool. When he arrived with Fu Hongxue, he had been suppressing his aura. Only now did he completely release it. There was a hint of arrogance in his eyes as he looked at the crowd. Since this matter has come to an end, the rest of you can continue climbing the sky cloud stairs. Let's see if anyone else can pass the test. Although Sikong Hanshin had lost a Divine Lord level spear and had been mocked several times, he didn't care too much. Instead, it was Si Kongxiang who felt a little embarrassed and said to Sikong Hanshin, "Third uncle, it's your nephew who is useless. I will definitely avenge you in the future." Si Kongxiang was ranked 15th on the Feather Gods list. He was very arrogant, so he was very upset that he had lost to a cultivator who had climbed the sky stairway on the same day. It's okay. She had indeed found a good seedling this time. This was a good thing for Tianyun School. In 2 years, the 7 major sects will hold a disciple competition. With the addition of the 3 of you, the Tianyun clan may no longer be at the bottom like before. Sikong Hanshin sighed. The 7 major clans would hold a competition between their disciples every 1,000 years, and in the last 10 competitions, the Tianyun clan had always been at the bottom, be it in the Divine Feather Realm or the Divine Feather Realm. The top experts on the Feather Gods list and the High Gods list had not changed for tens of thousands of years. Usually, some people had to break through to the High Gods list before others had a chance. It would not be easy for Tianyun School to make a comeback. Third uncle, don't worry. I will cultivate well and try to improve in the Feather Gods list. I will bring glory to Tianyun School. Si Kongxiang said solemnly. This was the first time he had heard of this. Don't waste your time. You and Mei Ruoxue will not be able to play a decisive role in the 7 Sects tournament. Yanzheng, who had just received the spear reward, walked over slowly and said with a fake smile. He did not take Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue seriously at all. You. Si Kongxiang felt unhappy in his heart and wanted to retort, but after brushing past Yanzheng and elder Fu Hongxue, they flew off into the distance. 2 years is not long, but you have just joined Tianyun School. Your strength will increase tremendously. Work hard. Sikong Hanshin smiled and patted his nephew's shoulder. His nephew was already very outstanding. Mei Ruoxue walked over and said, Elder Sikong, now that everyone has finished climbing the sky stairway, can we enter the sect now? She had been paying attention to everyone climbing the sky stairway. Night Sorrow was the last one to climb the sky stairway. He chose to give up on the 10,000th step and did not stand out too much. Other than Night Sorrow, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue, only 1 feather god and 1 exalted god passed the test. This success rate was not high. The cultivators who did not pass were full of regret and unwillingness. Especially Han Qianfan, who had rushed over from Qingyin's area. He did not fulfill his father's last wish and was so sad that he almost cried. Sikong Hanshin walked over and said to Night Sorrow and the others, since the 3 of you have passed the test, you are half a step into Tianyun School. As long as there is no problem with your identity, you can officially join and obtain powerful cultivation resources. The heritage of Tianyun School is enough to support you until you reach the Divine King realm. Elder Sikong, I want to ask you something. How many people can I bring into Tianyun School? After Sikong Hanshin finished speaking, Night Sorrow asked. Now that the people of Night Moon Dynasty were all in his spatial artifact, this was a problem that needed to be dealt with. If Tianyun School did not allow him to bring them in, it would be very troublesome. 10,000 outer sect disciples and 100,000 inner sect disciples. As for the core disciples, they can open up their own mountain in Tianyun School and recruit as many people as they want. Sikong Hanshin explained and continued, according to your results in climbing the stairway to heaven, you will become an outer sect disciple after you enter the sect. You will be able to bring in 10,000 people. As for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, they can bring 100,000 people. So I can bring so many people. This way everyone can enter. The population of Night Moon Dynasty was not very prosperous, and there were not many important people in the clan. Hearing Sikong Hanshin's words, Night Sorrow relaxed. I don't know who can bring me in. As long as I can enter Tianyun School, I can even be a servant. Hearing the conversation between Night Sorrow and Sikong Hanshin, Han Qianfan immediately walked over and said. He was very determined to enter Tianyun School. Since Brother Han is so determined, follow me. Chapter 2556. Thank you, Brother Yi. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Han Qianfan immediately bowed to him. He was very grateful for this. Since we know each other, we are friends. Brother Han, you don't need to be so polite. Night Sorrow smiled. He could see that Han Qianfan's talent was not enough, but he felt that in the God realm, as long as he persevered, one day Han Qianfan would become an official disciple of Tianyun School. There is something that this elder wants to explain. Seeing that Han Qianfan wanted to enter the Tianyun clan in such a way, Sikong Hanshin immediately said, Outer clan disciples have a very low status in the clan, but they are protected by the rules of the clan and will not be attacked for no reason. However, the status of the companions brought in is even lower. Inner or core disciples can kill them at will if they are not pleasing to the eye. What? There are such cruel rules in the Tianyun clan? As soon as Sikong Hanshin finished speaking, Han Qianfan shuddered. The other cultivators who had the same idea as him and wanted to sneak into the Tianyun clan to cultivate immediately stopped in their tracks. This is the rule of Cloud Fairy Continent. Only the strong can live better. If everyone in the sect was treated the same, how could disciples have the motivation to improve? Only with the threat of death will everyone burst out with their full potential. Sikong Han Xan smiled and said, in fact, the competition in Tianyun School is relatively small. Disciples of Soaring Heaven sect and other sects can kill each other at will. Disciples can kill each other at will? That's too inhumane. I don't like such a sect. Knowing that the competition in some sects was so cruel, Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th on the God Feather list, couldn't help but frown. Si Kongxiang also shook his head and said, that kind of sect can't be considered a sect at all. Soaring Heaven sect? Hearing Sikong Han Xan mention Night Sorrow of Soaring Heaven sect, he immediately thought of Qin Yangzi, who had attacked in anger after failing to win him over. At that time, Qin Yangzi had summoned an extraterrestrial demon. Now that he heard that Soaring Heaven sect regarded the lives of God realm cultivators as worthless, he immediately suspected that Soaring Heaven sect was being controlled by heavenly demons. However, the impact of these matters was too great, so he couldn't speak casually. Tianyun School was very large. From the mountain gate where the sky cloud ladder was located to the mountain peak where they reported, there was a long distance. Sikong Hanshin took out the Tianyun School's unique flying magic tool, the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle, and brought the 5 cultivators who passed the test to report. As for their family members and servants, they were all put into a spatial magic tool. Alright. Which one of you is good at setting up formations, concocting pills, or refining tools? If you are good at these, your days in the sect will be much better. Otherwise, if you want to obtain resources, you can only rely on your strength. Sikong Hanshin asked as they flew. In truth, cultivators would more or less dabble in these matters, but mastering them or not was a different matter. Hearing Sikong Hanshin's words, Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue, and the others all shook their heads. Only Night Sorrow said, I know a little. Good, very good. Sikong Hanshin clearly knew that if someone said they knew a little under these circumstances, they would definitely be very accomplished in a certain area. He immediately transmitted his voice to Si Kongxiang, Nephew, you should visit more often in the future. Ah, third uncle, why are you so snobbish? Even if you didn't say those words, everyone here today is my friend. Si Kongxiang retorted in disgust. You little brat. Sikong Hanshin didn't get angry at being talked back to. At this moment, Night Sorrow asked, Elder Sikong, how can I learn Pill Dao in Tianyun School? Apart from avoiding the Dark Moon ruler's people, Night Sorrow's most important goal in joining Tianyun School was to help God Sovereign Jinyuan find the Heavenly Luan Myriad Transformations Pill. There are many alliances within the sect. If you want to learn Pill Dao, you can just join one when the time comes. If your potential is outstanding, you will be discovered by some elders. Sikong Hanshin used Night Sorrow's question to explain Tianyun School's situation to the others. When they arrived at Tianyun School's main peak, Tianyun Peak, Fu Hongxue had already arrived at the main peak's plaza with Yan Zheng, Luan and Du Guxian. There were many onlookers at the main peak's plaza today. News had already spread that 3 new disciples in the top 20 of the Feather God list would join today, attracting the attention of many alliances. Many alliances had sent out their top beauties to recruit them as soon as possible. The top 10 beauties of the Feather God list and the High God list were all present. One of them is actually a female cultivator and she looks pretty good. Soon, many cultivators noticed Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th on the Feather God list. She had just appeared and many high gods were already thinking about her. Some people even began to inform the Divine Lord Seed disciples. After all, Mei Ruoxue was pretty and ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. Her future achievements wouldn't be low, and she met the standards of a few geniuses. Silence. The 8 of you who passed the test will follow me to the discipline hall to verify your identities. Not long after, the Tianyun School's discipline elder Lu Qingyuan brought the 8 of them to the discipline hall to verify their identities in front of many discipline elders. He used the method of turning back time and deducing the past to check their backgrounds and cultivation paths. There were no problems when deducing the others. However, when discipline elder Lu Qingyuan, who was half a step away from the Divine King, tried to deduce Night Sorrow's past, he would be interrupted by a golden dragon. This made him very depressed. He stared at Night Sorrow again and again, but he still couldn't figure out what was going on. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Kid, what secrets do you have? I can't deduce your past. If you can't explain, I'll kill you on the spot. Elder, it was the dragon of merit that interrupted your deduction. I have the power of merit. Discipline elder Lu Qingyuan's voice sounded in his mind. Night Sorrow knew that he couldn't hide this matter, so he immediately replied. How's your cultivation of the force of good fortune? On the surface, Lu Qingyuan looked like he was deducing, but in fact he continued to transmit his voice to Night Sorrow. Recently there had been some problems with Night Sorrow's power of merit. He couldn't control it at will, so others naturally couldn't see through it. My power of merit is at the peak of the Divine Feather Realm. Night Sorrow had no choice but to answer truthfully. Peak of the Divine Feather Realm? Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan's expression didn't change, but his heart skipped a beat. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow excitedly. If I'm not wrong, you hid most of your strength when you climbed the sky cloud ladder, right? Your name is not Night Moon, but Night Sorrow, right? Night Sorrow did deliberately hide this matter. However, Night Sorrow definitely doesn't have any ill intentions in joining the Tianyun School. Please forgive me, Elder. The key to joining the Tianyun School was discipline elder Lu Qingyuan in front of him. Night Sorrow hurriedly explained to him, afraid that there would be some misunderstanding. It really is you. Since you want to hide your identity, then hide it for now. Go with them and accept the arrangements. I'll look for you later. Chapter 2557. After Yi Shang and the others were taken away after swearing the Heavenly Tao oath to enter the clan, disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan immediately rushed to the mountain peak where Yuan Tianji, the deputy clan leader of the Tianyun clan, was. When he saw Yuan Tianji, he excitedly said, Vice Sect Master. Good news, good news. What could make Elder Lu so excited? Yuan Tianji asked, puzzled. Lu Qingyuan's joy was obvious. Lu Qingyuan was the disciplinary elder and normally enforced the law like a mountain. If it wasn't something important, he definitely wouldn't be like this. Our Tianyun school has picked up a big fish today. Ah. Truly the heavens have blessed my sect, the heavens have blessed my sect. Lu Qingyuan laughed loudly. I've already received news of this matter. We've recruited 3 people ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. Our Tianyun school's Feather God level 1 has indeed seen a qualitative increase in strength. Yuan Tianji's expression was still calm. He was one of the 2 vice sect masters of Tianyun school and was normally very cold. If it was just them, would I, Lu Qingyuan, be like this? Lu Qingyuan explained. They're just small fish. I'm talking about the big fish. Elder Lu, don't keep me in suspense. Hurry up and tell me what's going on. Yuan Tianji said unhappily. He felt that Lu Qingyuan was a bit improper today. Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, who recently caused a sensation in the divine realm, has joined our Tianyun school along with Si Kongxiang and the others. Lu Qingyuan asked in return, don't you think I should be happy? Night Sorrow? The one who rose to prominence overnight and entered both the Feather God list and the Upper God list at the same time, the Night Sorrow? The originally expressionless Yuan Tianji immediately became spirited. That's him, but he used a fake name called Night Moon. Also, when he climbed the sky cloud ladder, he deliberately hid his strength. I still don't know how strong he is. Lu Qingyuan explained, I plan to find a time to bring him up the stairway to heaven again to see how far he has progressed. No matter what, we all have to take it seriously. No one else could know about this. I suspect that there are spies in Tianyun school. Yuan Tianji's expression became serious. After thinking for a while, he continued, as for Night Sorrow, Elder Lu doesn't need to deliberately treat him well. Let him experience his own hardships in the sect. But you must send experts to protect him. Should we let him participate in the 7-sect grand competition 2 years later? 4 cultivators, 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. It was not too early for Lu Qingyuan to ask now. It's not easy for a genius to come to the Tianyun clan, how can we not let him participate? But before that, we must keep the news a secret. Also, pay attention to his strength. If he's a feather god, it's best if he doesn't break through for the time being. Let's see if he can get first place in the feather god realm. Our Tianyun school hasn't won first place in the 7-sect grand competition for so long that even I can't remember it. Yuan Tianji sighed. Without waiting for Lu Qingyuan to speak, he added, also, confirm Night Sorrow's origin and ask if he needs anything. Okay, I'll take care of these things. Is there still no news from the sect leader? Lu Qingyuan, who responded, looked at Yuan Tianji and asked. No news. I've already asked that person. He can't be sure where the sect leader went. He only knows that the sect leader didn't die. When Yuan Tianji mentioned the matter of the sect master, he sighed. Tianyun school was the only one among the 7 major sects whose sect leader was missing. Without a sect leader, Tianyun school had always been at a disadvantage in the confrontation with the other sections. If it wasn't for the fact that a super-existence had a relationship with Tianyun school might have even been destroyed. So, even that person can't be found. It seems that the sect leader has very likely entered the 3 forbidden areas. Lu Qingyuan's face was full of worry. However, when he thought of Night Sorrow and saw the future, his mood suddenly became much better. At this time, Night Sorrow had already separated from Si Kongxiang and the others and was taken to the outer sect to report. After meeting the outer sect elders, he was taken by an outer sect deacon to the outer sect disciples' residence. Tianyun school had existed for so many years and had countless outer sect disciples. They had already opened up 16 mountains as their residence. According to the time of entry, Night Sorrow was brought to the outer sect's 16th mountain. After arranging a courtyard for Night Sorrow and leaving behind the disciples' attire, identity jade token and relevant books, the deacon left directly and didn't stay to chat with Night Sorrow. Compared to Yan Zheng, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue, who received a lot of attention, the strength he displayed was too mediocre. At this time, those people from the sect's alliance basically went to rope in those 3 prodigies. Who's already successfully entered Tianyun school? Who wants to come out for a breather? After the deacon left, Night Sorrow didn't immediately check those books in Tianyun school. Instead, he went to the vast heaven pagoda to visit everyone. The courtyard arranged by the sect was actually very big. It was dozens of times bigger than the courtyard Night Sorrow bought in Haibei City. However, after he spoke, only Jing Yun, Ho Lai, Xian Jizi, and some servants of the Yi family walked out of the vast heaven pagoda. Because everyone had already heard about the cruel rules of Tianyun school in the vast heaven pagoda, the family didn't want to bring trouble to Night Sorrow. As expected of one of the 7 great sects of Yunxian continent. Even the outer sect disciples' residence is so imposing. Xian Jizi and Ho Lai, who walked out of the vast heaven pagoda, looked as if they had never seen the world and looked around the entire courtyard. Imposing is imposing, but the path of cultivation arranged by the sect for the disciples is very cruel. Night Sorrow, who was looking at the sect's books, learned that outer and inner sect disciples had to rely on their own efforts to obtain cultivation methods, secret arts, pills, and even the opportunity to be taught by the elders. They had to earn sect points and exchange them. Only when they were promoted to core disciples would they be nurtured by the sect. Actually, this is normal. If you don't have enough talent, you have to rely on hard work to make up for it. Jing Yun, who had just walked out of the vast heaven pagoda, said. Night Sorrow had just joined Tianyun school and she hadn't decided whether or not to join. She was a low-level divine lord and had a powerful bloodline. If she joined, she would probably be nurtured vigorously. However, they still couldn't see the situation of Tianyun school clearly and weren't in a hurry to make a decision. No matter how strong your talent is, it's a waste if you don't work hard. Xian Jizi, who had already broken through to upper-level divine feather, heard Jing Yun's words and said with deep emotion. When he was in the lower realm, he was also a big shot who could move unhindered. In the divine realm, he didn't work hard enough and immediately faded into the crowd. With brother's talent, it's definitely not too late to catch up. Knowing that Xian Jizi was lamenting because of those years of delay, Night Sorrow smiled and comforted him. Oh my! A bunch of trash boasting shamelessly about the Tao here? You dare to claim that you have strong talent? At this moment, a discordant voice was heard. Then a mid-level divine lord rushed into Night Sorrow's courtyard with 6 or 7 divine feather gods. They had just been assigned here and Night Sorrow hadn't set up a defensive array yet, so they weren't stopped at all. Who are you? Chapter 2558. Who are we? Haha, we entered the sect earlier than you, so of course we're your senior brothers. Night Moon, we're here to see you. Aren't you happy? The leader of the group was a horse-faced cultivator named Xiao Yuyang. He had a playful smile on his face. The 6 half-step high gods behind him glanced left and right as if they were the ones who had taken the initiative. When they noticed Jing Yun, they couldn't take their eyes off her. Oh, what advice do you have for me, senior brother? Night Sorrow asked Xiao Yuyang. Ah, of course he had to give him some pointers. We're here to teach you how to use your identity jade card. Xiao Yuyang smiled maliciously and continued, also, the path of cultivation is like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't advance, you'll fall behind. Since you've entered the Tianyun school, you should have no distracting thoughts and focus on cultivation. She's just a pretty skeleton. Staying here will only hinder your cultivation. I'll take her with me when I leave. New disciples would have at least 100 sect points in their identity jade cards. This was the reward for climbing the sky cloud ladder. The horse-faced cultivator Xiao Yuyang clearly intended to plunder Yishang's sect and take Jing Yun away. He couldn't see through Jing Yun's cultivation and thought she was just Night Sorrow's concubine. Senior brother's words make sense. As a cultivator, we should have no distracting thoughts. Yishang sneered as an idea formed in his mind. Xiao Yuyang was one of the strongest lesser high gods. He was much stronger than North Sea City's Mingi. Night Sorrow and Jing Yun could kill him with a snap of their fingers, but he didn't. Instead, he transmitted to Xian Jizi, Brother, do you want to try fighting a high god? A high god? Xian Jizi said bitterly, I'm afraid I'm not a match. I'm not a heaven-defying existence like you, Captain. It's fine. You're not a match today and you won't be a match tomorrow. But one day you'll be able to defeat him. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Captain, you mean to keep them here for a long time? Xian Jizi immediately understood and asked with a smile. Today I will set a rule. Those who trespass into our mansion, no matter who they are, will not be allowed to leave. After Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Xian Jizi, he looked at the complacent Xiao Yuyang and the others. At this moment, Xiao Yuyang thought that Night Sorrow had chosen to give in and sneered, Since you're so tactful, you'll be spared some physical pain. Hand over your identity token. Alright, take it. Night Sorrow smiled and handed over his identity jade card. Seeing Xiao Yuyang really use his hand to catch it, Jing Yun and Xian Jizi laughed. What is it? After receiving the jade tablet, Xiao Yuyang discovered that Night Sorrow, Jing Yun, and Xian Jizi's gazes were somewhat strange. He shouted angrily, What are you laughing at? That's right, what are you laughing at? The other feather gods also felt that their robbery was a bit disrespectful, and they began to reprimand them. Since you can't leave, why don't you tell me about the structure of Tianyun School's disciples? Night Sorrow guessed that the Tianyun School's various alliances should be controlled by the Tianyun School's core disciples or seed disciples. But he didn't know the specific details, and there were no records in the ancient records given by the sect, so he asked. What's the matter? We can't leave? I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Brothers, teach him a lesson. Even if Xiao Yuyang's brain wasn't very bright, he could still see Night Sorrow's attitude and immediately gave the order. Until now, he still thought that Night Sorrow was an ordinary disciple who could only climb the Tianyun school's myriad steps. Yes, Boss Yang. Xiao Yuyang ordered, and the 6 feather gods immediately prepared to attack. Go outside and reflect on yourselves. Before they could attack, Night Sorrow erupted with a terrifying divine domain and suppressed them all. He grabbed them and threw them into the courtyard, and with a thought, he trapped the 6 feather gods. After that, he imprisoned Xiao Yuyang in another defensive formation. These 2 arrays were designed according to the pattern of the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array. They weren't as terrifying as the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array, but they could imprison for a long time. It was almost impossible for Xiao Yuyang and the 6 feather gods to break out of the array with their strength. Brother Night Moon. You are so strong. Are you stronger than Brother Sikong? Han Qianfan, who was in the Clear Sky Pagoda, asked in shock when he saw Night Sorrow easily suppress Xiao Yuyang in the array, combined with the 100-fold acceleration spatial artifact. Brother Han, come out. I'll leave these feather gods for you to interrogate. The Identity Jade token can record sect points. Transfer all their sect points to this Jade token. Night Sorrow was very easygoing, but he didn't answer the question. He handed the Identity Jade token to Han Qianfan. Good. Although Night Sorrow didn't answer the question, he didn't deny it either. Han Qianfan immediately understood that he wasn't simple. After receiving the Jade token, he stood outside the array and interrogated the trapped feather gods. At first, these feather gods fantasized about breaking out of the array, but they gradually gave up resistance and handed over all their sect points. They expressed that they were willing to pay the price in exchange for their freedom. They completely understood that this newcomer called Night Moon was a wolf in sheep's clothing. His strength was unfathomable. When we leave the outer sect, we'll let them out. Let them cultivate without any distracting thoughts. When Han Qianfan told Night Sorrow about the Feather God's requests, Night Sorrow made this decision. After speaking, Night Sorrow looked at Shen Jizi and said, Brother, are you ready? If you are, I'll release Xiao Yuyang. It's not good for you to fight him in a sealed space. Okay, let him out. Shen Jizi blew his beard and familiarized himself with the equipment and divine artifacts that Night Sorrow gave him. These were all top-grade items that ordinary feather gods could use. They were better than ordinary divine artifacts. Brother, you can fight with all your strength. Don't worry about your safety. In addition, my strength completely transcends the outer sect. Use the cultivation resources here well. After releasing Xiao Yuyang from the array, Night Sorrow spoke to Shen Jizi. Shen Jizi had also ascended from the lower realm. His talent was actually quite good, but he had been silent for too many years. Night Sorrow was prepared to give the opportunity to cultivate in the outer sect to Shen Jizi so that he could focus on improving his strength. This Captain Xia. Shen Jizi, who knew Night Sorrow's painstaking efforts, didn't say anything polite. He fought with all his strength against Xiao Yuyang. In this battle, although Shen Jizi used all his methods, he was still no match for Xiao Yuyang. This made him very angry. In the past he could fight across realms at will, but now he couldn't do it at all. It's fine. Just quickly improve your strength. As long as you find your heart, you can still shake the world. Chapter 2559. Captain. Is this okay? I'm afraid. Shen Jizi took the jade tablet with an ugly expression. He was afraid that he couldn't bear the name Night Moon. Don't worry. Few people in Tianyun school know me. If you say you're Night Moon, they won't kill you. When you're strong enough, you can climb the sky cloud ladder. Night Sorrow comforted him. I'll interrogate Xiao Yuyang and understand the sect's situation. Then I'll go visit my other friends. Before I leave, I'll set up a defensive array and let you control it. As soon as he arrived at the courtyard, some senior disciples rushed over. Night Sorrow knew that the other weaker disciples would also encounter the same thing, so he prepared to help. As for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, they were the proud sons and daughters of heaven. The major forces would try to rope them in, so they definitely wouldn't target them. He wasn't worried at all. Senior brother Xiao Yuyang. Tell me what you know. Night Sorrow released Xiao Yuyang again. You're shameless. Xiao Yuyang, who was released again, looked like he wanted to eat someone. But facing Night Sorrow, he didn't have the same imposing manner as before. How can I not be shameless? Hand over the sex points and hand over the beauties with both hands? Night Sorrow retorted. If you didn't like to bully new disciples, how could you encounter such a predicament? You're obviously very strong. Why did you pretend to be an ordinary disciple? Xiao Yuyang angrily rebuked. He felt that Night Sorrow's divine domain was even stronger than some monarch god seed disciples. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate this time. I'm the one asking you, not the other way around. Tell me the general situation of the sect. Otherwise you'll be imprisoned in the courtyard forever and be laughed at by the entire outer sect. Night Sorrow, who had been very calm, suddenly spoke with a heavy tone. Xiao Yuyang originally wanted to say something ruthless, but after thinking for a moment he said, I'll tell you everything and then you'll let me go. I won't tell anyone about what happened today. You don't have the right to negotiate, but I will reduce your sentence appropriately. Night Sorrow knew that Xiao Yuyang was just a nobody in the entire Tianyun school, so the things he knew were limited. Alright, I'll tell you everything I know. When Night Sorrow released a little bit of his divine domain, Xiao Yuyang would be suppressed to the point that he couldn't bear it. He didn't use the people behind him as a threat, and slowly explained the situation of Tianyun school. It turned out that the status of outer disciples in Tianyun school was quite low. They were not regarded as members of Tianyun school by inner disciples and above. As for inner court disciples, core disciples and seed disciples, they were actually collectively called inner court disciples. Core disciples were the ones with the best talent among the inner disciples and were heavily nurtured by the sect. They might not be particularly strong, but their future was promising. As for seed disciples, they were disciples above the Divine Lord level. They weren't far from the Divine King and had already seen the dawn of becoming a Divine King. They were also called Divine King seeds. Some of the inner court alliances were controlled by these Divine King seeds. These Divine Lords were basically all core disciples who had cultivated to where they were now. Since ancient times there had only been one exception. He wasn't a core disciple, but he became a Divine King seed and eventually became a Divine King. What's the name of the person who became a Divine King? Do you know? Night Sorrow asked curiously after hearing Xiao Yuyang talk about this legendary person. Back then he used the name Jinyi. I heard that it wasn't his full name. No one knows what his real name is. It's said that he ascended from the lower world. This cultivator called Jinyi was a legendary person in Tianyun school. Xiao Yuyang admired him a lot when he talked about him. He ascended from the lower world and he wasn't a core disciple. He's very similar to me, Night Sorrow murmured with a smile. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xiao Yuyang looked at him as if he were an idiot. If you go out and say this, you'll probably be beaten to death. What? Is this name so legendary? Night Sorrow asked noncommittally. He was very interested in and admired this legendary person, but he wasn't afraid of him. He's the last person to become a Divine King in Tianyun school. Now, all the Divine King seeds in the sect look up to him as a role model. If you say that you're very similar to their role model, won't you be beaten to death? Xiao Yuyang said speechlessly. Alright, I know all this. I still have things to do. Go back and cultivate without any distracting thoughts. After understanding what Xiao Yuyang knew, Night Sorrow locked him back in the trapping array. You're not particular. You got so much information but you didn't let me out. After being locked in the trapping array again, Xiao Yuyang's mood collapsed. At that moment, Night Sorrow replied, It's a good thing that I let you cultivate without any distracting thoughts. If you're still the same as before, you'll be killed sooner or later. Alright. I'll cultivate properly. Xiao Yuyang understood the meaning behind his words. He knew that he couldn't get out, so he didn't waste any more words. He was tired of being a hired thug for the people above him. Old brother, I'm going to visit the other 2 disciples who entered the sect with me. You cultivate according to the ancient records for outer sect disciples. Before leaving, Night Sorrow gave Xian Jizi some instructions and left behind a spirit crystal. Alright, I Xian Jizi definitely won't lose to the name of Night Moon. Xian Jizi swore as he clutched his identity jade tablet. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Before leaving, Night Sorrow comforted Xian Jizi and told him not to worry too much. He changed into an outer sect disciple's uniform and went to look for the other 2 cultivators who entered the sect with him. Since they entered the sect together, they shouldn't be far from each other. Kid, wait a moment. Night Sorrow had just left the courtyard when a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan. Elder Lu, why are you here? Seeing Lu Qingyuan, Night Sorrow was a little surprised. Of course I'm here to find you. With your talent, staying in the outer sect is obviously a waste of time. I'm going to arrange something else for you. Lu Qingyuan looked at Night Sorrow with a terrifying expression. Elder Lu, if you have something to say, just say it. Night Sorrow was a little scared by the other party's gaze. Ah, what are you afraid of? Do you think this elder will eat you? Seeing Night Sorrow's reaction, Lu Qingyuan laughed and said, the specific arrangements will depend on your true strength. How about this, you come with me and climb the stairway to heaven again. Vice sect leader Yuan Tianji had told him to let Night Sorrow develop on his own, but Lu Qingyuan had his own ideas. Why must I climb the stairway to heaven? Night Sorrow wondered. This elder wants to see your true potential, Lu Qingyuan said with a serious expression. Chapter 2560. Just this request? Disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan was a little startled by Night Sorrow's words. This request was a little too simple. Yes, just this one request. As long as elder can help me clear up my doubts, Night Sorrow will definitely do his best to climb the sky cloud ladder. However, there have been some problems with my power of merit recently, which may have affected the results of the sky cloud ladder. Night Sorrow did not hide the fact that his power of merit was abnormal. What's going on with your power of merit? Lu Qingyuan, who originally wanted Night Sorrow to ask questions, immediately asked about his power of merit. I've been using it too frequently recently and suffered a backlash. I reckon I need to obtain some merit before I can use it again. Night Sorrow explained and said directly, also, my question is how to obtain the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir. What do you want that elixir for? This question made Lu Qingyuan frown. Of course it's to save someone, Night Sorrow said matter-of-factly. If you need other elixirs, I can immediately help you find them. However, I can't do anything about the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir. At the mention of the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir, Lu Qingyuan's face suddenly became gloomy. Elder, you mean you know about the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir? When Night Sorrow heard this, he immediately took out a jar of always wine from his spatial artifact and handed it to Lu Qingyuan. It's useless even if you give me wine. You can't get this elixir. No one in the Tianyun school can get it. Lu Qingyuan, who took the wine, gulped it down gloomily. Elder Lu, tell me what you know. Night Sorrow will naturally go back to investigate. What do you mean by evading the topic? Lu Qingyuan obviously knew some inside information, but he did not say anything. Night Sorrow was a little anxious. The Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir was related to whether or not the god Jinyuan could recover. He was still very concerned about it. Not to mention the god Jinyuan himself, all the things Long Tianqing had done for him made him very grateful. This favor had to be repaid. It's no use telling you. Only Lord Sect Master knows how to refine the Heavenly Luan Myriad Transformations pill, but Lord Sect Master has been missing for a long time. Lu Qingyuan finished the wine in the jar and sighed. Sigh. It is precisely because of the disappearance of the headmaster that our Tianyun school has been declining day by day. Lord Sect Master is missing? Where did he go? Night Sorrow quickly asked. Let's go. We'll talk as we walk. Lu Qingyuan summoned his mount. It was a saber leopard with a pair of wings. The winged saber leopard was dozens of feet long. Okay. Night Sorrow replied and flew onto the saber leopard's back. With Lu Qingyuan's permission, the Divine Lord level blade leopard did not resist. Our sect master's soul lamp is still lit, but we can't divine his location at all. According to my and Vice Sect Master Yuan's judgment, our sect master was either imprisoned by a ruler or entered one of the 3 great forbidden grounds. On the saber leopard's back, Lu Qingyuan transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. This matter was a secret of the Tianyun school. He did not speak of it openly. So that's how it is. This is troublesome. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice. What is Lord Sect Master's strength? The Divine King Realm. Like the other 6 sect masters, he is infinitely close to becoming a ruler. He is only 1 step away. He can be considered a half-step ruler, Lu Qingyuan said proudly. There were a total of 7 known rulers in the God realm. Apart from them, the 7 sect masters of the Cloud Immortal Continent were the strongest. Then I think your judgment is wrong. There is another possibility. Lord Sect Master might have found a ruler's cave to break through to the ruler realm and is trapped inside. Or perhaps he is cultivating inside to break through to the ruler realm. Disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan and Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji's judgment were both pessimistic. Night Sorrow's opinion was the opposite. You don't say. That is really possible. However, the number of rulers who have fallen in the God realm is limited. The opportunities have long been snatched away. Lu Qingyuan denied. Then he said, hopefully, Lord Sect Master has found an undiscovered cave and is cultivating inside. It was also a consolation for himself. Just think on the bright side. Night Sorrow consoled. Then he looked around. The entire Heaven Cloud Mountain was floating in the clouds. It was very beautiful. Tianyun School's various divine birds were flying leisurely in the forest. Dragons and phoenixes could be seen everywhere. Sitting on the saber leopard's back, Night Sorrow saw many species that did not exist in the 9 regions world. What? You want to tame one and make it your mount? Seeing Night Sorrow looking at the various divine birds, Lu Qingyuan asked with a smile. As a disciplinary elder, helping to tame a divine bird was a trivial matter. Tianyun School had an elder in charge of this. No, I'm just thinking about my friends when I first started cultivating. Night Sorrow explained with a smile. He was thinking about his former companion, Tianyu, as well as his younger sister, Yin Yanxiao. Ascending to the God realm had been a bumpy road, but the Night Moon Dynasty's development could be considered smooth. Many people had already broken through to the Feather God realm. He believed that the future would be even better. He was somewhat worried about his old friends in the lower realm. Don't forget your original intentions. Night Sorrow, you are a person who values relationships. I am optimistic about your future. Lu Qingyuan praised. Then he suddenly said, there is someone at the sky cloud staircase. Let's observe for a while before deciding whether or not to go down. We suspect that there is a spy in Tianyun School. It's best if you don't expose your true identity. He was already a half-step divine king, so his divine sense could cover a greater area than Night Sorrow's. He could sense that there was someone at the sky cloud staircase. It seems that when it comes to benefits there will be a fight. Even the powerful Tianyun School could have a spy. This made Night Sorrow feel that there was no such thing as a pure land in the God realm. There seems to be something interesting down there. Lu Qingyuan did not respond to Night Sorrow's words. Using his divine sense he said, the 2 beauties of Tianyun School are fighting. Their stakes are quite interesting. The 2 beauties of Tianyun School? Night Sorrow, who had just entered Tianyun School, did not know who these 2 beauties were. They are seed disciples Xikong Chenxue and Nalan Shuang. They are both high divine lords and are ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list. Both of them have not changed their appearance. Half of the disputes between seed disciples are related to these 2. Lu Qingyuan explained with a smile. Then he looked at Night Sorrow and said, Night Sorrow, change your appearance. I will take you down. You have the power of virtue protecting your body, so they should not be able to see your true appearance. Elder Lu, aren't you a disciplinary elder? You should be very strict. Why do I feel that your eyes are shining when you see beautiful women? Night Sorrow asked. At this moment, Lu Qingyuan did not look like a disciplinary elder at all. You don't know how outstanding they are. TSK, if I can marry any one of them, my Lu family's bloodline talent will be greatly improved. Lu Qingyuan's originally white beard turned black when he was about to go down, making him look a lot younger. You are an elder, you can be considered a teacher. Don't you feel shameless for thinking about the disciples of your sect? Besides, with your cultivation level you still want to have children. Isn't that just a fool's dream? Before meeting the 2 beauties of Tianyun School, Lu Qingyuan had the appearance of an expert, but now he could not hold it anymore. Chapter 2561. As the saying goes, everyone has a love for beauty. What's wrong with an elder? An elder is also a human. The life of a cultivator in the God realm is almost endless. If you don't find a confidant to share it with, how sad would that be? Disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan, who was carefully inspecting the 2 beauties of Tianyun School, said with a sigh. He was originally an orphan, but his cultivation talent was not bad. He successfully entered Tianyun School and became a seed disciple. In the end he stayed in Tianyun School as an elder. He gradually found the value of his existence, but he always had a regret in his life, and that was that no one accompanied him. His heart was always empty. It's indeed not a complete life without companionship. If there's a suitable one in the future, I'll help Elder look out. Just now, when Lu Qingyuan said that he had obtained a beauty to improve the bloodline of the Lu family, Night Sorrow thought that he was a disciple of the family. Now that he heard that he was an orphan, he felt some sympathy. Night Sorrow's greatest achievement was not becoming the first emperor of the 9 regions world, nor was it becoming a powerful feather god who could challenge a divine lord, but having a complete and happy family. It was completely understandable that Elder Lu's loneliness could be understood. No need. Now there's an opportunity. The heavens are really helping me, Lu Qingyuan. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Lu Qingyun hurriedly waved his hand to indicate that there was no need. He transmitted his voice. The content of their bet is very interesting. They bet on the result of climbing the stairway to heaven, and the loser has to marry the first man after the bet takes effect. They made a heavenly oath. As long as I'm the first to arrive, everything will be settled. Within tens of thousands of miles, Lu Qingyuan carefully used his divine sense to investigate. There were no other cultivators at all. As long as he went down and put Night Sorrow into his spatial artifact, there would be no competition. Isn't it too childish for the two of them to bet like this? Hearing such a bet, Night Sorrow was speechless. They were both divine lords, but they were like children. Xikong Qinxue and Nailan Shuang were both proud daughters of the Tianyun school's disciples, ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list, but they actually made such a bet. If the loser met a piece of trash, wouldn't that be a tragedy? You don't understand. Their enmity had been going on for a long time. Both of them admired the number 1 seed of the divine king, Mu Baiyu. This time they are probably confident in themselves and want to defeat the other party and force her to marry him. This way their biggest competitor will be eliminated. Lu Qingyuan explained with a smile, "Give up resisting and enter my spatial artifact. I don't want you to steal my good fortune." To tell you the truth, I have no interest in this kind of thing. But don't you think that you won't get true companionship like this? Night Sorrow was speechless. He asked, "Is Mu Baiyu really that outstanding to make 2 heavens proud daughters like this?" "Excellent, very excellent. He will be the future number 1 genius disciple of our Tianyun school." He had the bearing of the divine king. Moreover, he was so handsome that many women felt ashamed of their inferiority. When he played the zither under the moonlight, he looked like a white-robed immortal. If I were a female cultivator, I would probably be tempted by him too. Lu Qingyuan couldn't help but shake his head at the mention of Mu Baiyu. That was a person that made him feel ashamed of his inferiority. Is the person you're talking about the legend called Jinyi? Night Sorrow, who had already entered Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, couldn't help but ask while sighing at Mu Baiyu's excellence. In comparison, he was more interested in the legend that everyone was talking about. Because that person was the same as him. They both ascended from the lower realm. "Yes, we're here. I won't talk to you anymore. I'll let you out in a bit." When they got close, Lu Qingyuan laughed dryly. Then, he put on his usual serious appearance and descended towards the sky cloud staircase. "Xikong Qinxue and Nailan Shuang, what are you two doing here? Are you going to challenge the sky cloud staircase?" After landing, Lu Qingyuan stood with his hands behind his back, looking very calm. "Greetings, disciplinary elder. We're here to challenge the sky cloud staircase." "Elder is here?" Xikong Qinxue and Nailan Shuang immediately greeted the disciplinary elder, Lu Qingyuan, when they saw him. Respecting one's teachers was the first rule of the Tianyun school. Naturally, they wouldn't go against it. However, during the process of greeting, Xikong Qinxue laughed and transmitted her voice to Nailan Shuang. "Your future husband has appeared. He's a couple of 10,000-year-old bachelors from the reincarnation cycle, and he also has a 10,000-year-old iceberg face like you. They're a perfect match." "It's your husband." Nailan Shuang was just like her name. Her face was cold and gave people a feeling that she was 1,000 miles away. It was only when she was facing Mu Baiyu that she would smile. "Well, I found a genius disciple and brought him to challenge the sky cloud staircase." Lu Qingyuan, who had already thought of an excuse, casually replied. "Night Sorrow, come out." "Greetings, senior sisters." After speaking, Lu Qingyuan let Night Sorrow out of the spatial artifact. A genius among the outer sect disciples? Originally, Xikong Qinxue and Nailan Shuang were interested in the genius disciple Lu Qingyuan spoke of because of his words. However, when they saw Night Sorrow, who was wearing the outer sect disciple's uniform, a trace of disappointment flashed across their faces. It's rare for an outer sect disciple to have the potential to become a core disciple, so I personally brought him here to test him. Quick, greet the 2 senior sisters. The 2 in front of you are super geniuses ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list. Lu Qingyuan, who had already thought of an excuse, explained in a low voice. Ever since he was promoted to the disciplinary elder, he had always been reserved. Junior brother greets the 2 senior sisters. Night Sorrow had already given Night Moon's identity token to Xianjizi. It wasn't appropriate for him to say his name, so he directly referred to himself as junior brother. Seeing Night Sorrow greet her, Nailan Shuang, who had a cold expression on her face, only responded softly. She didn't even look at him. On the other hand, Sikong Chenshue looked at Night Sorrow with a smile and said, if you want to become a core disciple in the Divine Feather Realm, you need to reach at least 13,500 Dao Force. Junior brother, you have to work hard. Thank you for the reminder, senior sister. Senior sisters, you have arrived here first. Please take the lead and climb the Sky Cloud staircase. Junior brother can learn from this experience. Night Sorrow returned the greeting and said. At the same time he thought of Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxua. Both of their scores had exceeded 14,000 Dao Force, which meant that they had already become core disciples. Actually, climbing the Sky Cloud staircase doesn't have any skills. It's purely a test of strength. Since junior brother is a little nervous, senior sister will demonstrate it for you. Nalan Shuang didn't even bother with Night Sorrow. Sikong Chenshue replied with a smile and walked towards the Sky Cloud staircase. When she was about to climb the Sky Cloud staircase, she looked back at Nalan Shuang and said with a smile, don't forget our bet. I, Nalan Shuang, naturally won't go back on my word. Because the loser will definitely be you, Nalan Shuang said with a cold expression. I recently encountered an opportunity, and my strength has increased a lot. Just wait for your marriage. Sikong Chenshue snorted, then walked up the Sky Cloud staircase and started climbing. Elder, how high can these two senior sisters reach? At this moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice curiously. Chapter 2562. The Tianyun School has a standard to measure the geniuses. Feather God Realm, 13,500. High God Realm, 27,000. Divine Monarch Realm, 54,000. Both of them are well-known figures among the Divine Monarchs. Their results are definitely above 54,000. It's not easy to judge how good they are. Let's wait and see. Hearing Night Sorrow's question, Lu Qingyuan replied and started watching. Sikong Chenshue, who had just climbed the Sky Cloud stairs, didn't seem to feel any resistance. She was like a swift, or like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. It wasn't until she passed the 40,000 step that her speed slowed down a little. While adjusting, she climbed up step by step. Night Sorrow. Who do you think is better between the two of them? If you were to choose, who would you choose? Sikong Chenshue's climbing process was a bit dull. Lu Qingyuan, who appeared to be serious, secretly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. If I were to choose, I definitely wouldn't choose either of them. I'm a man with a family. If I were to give an elder a suggestion, I think it would be Sikong Chenshue. Nalan Shuang is cold and arrogant. She gives people a very uncomfortable feeling. Night Sorrow said honestly. Each of his wives were outstanding beauties. He didn't have the slightest interest in Sikong Chenshue or Nalan Shuang. This elder is the opposite of what you are thinking. In any case, neither of them will be sincere when they're together with me. I might as well try the taste of an ice mountain beauty. In their heavenly Tao oath, they said that they would serve me in bed. Lu Qingyuan, who appeared calm and collected, transmitted his voice with a trace of vulgarity. I say, Elder Lu. In any case, you are a disciplinary elder. Can't you maintain some image? Night Sorrow, who heard the transmission, said speechlessly. Sai, do you think that I took the initiative to become a disciplinary elder? Back then, I was forced to do something beyond my ability by the sect master. However, I, Lu Qingyuan, have never made any mistakes in my position. I am worthy of the sect master's trust. Lu Qingyuan sighed. At this moment, he saw that Sikong Chenshue had already climbed to the 60,000 step. Her speed was already as slow as a snail. He asserted, she will finish climbing within 10 steps. I think she can climb at least 1 or 2,000 steps. Night Sorrow, who was looking over, could not see Sikong Chenshue's expression. But when he turned his head to the side, he saw a rare smile on Nalan Shuang's face. This proved that Nalan Shuang could easily climb this height. If Sikong Chenshue could be easily defeated by Nalan Shuang, she would definitely not gamble with her. She definitely had a trump card that she had not used yet. It's true. Lu Qingyuan's observation skills had plummeted because of the two beauties. After Night Sorrow spoke, he instantly saw Sikong Chenshue's body emitting a strange 7-colored light. After that, she continued ascending. Seems like you also have some tricks up your sleeve. Seeing that Sikong Chenshue was still climbing, Nalan Shuang's expression immediately turned cold. Sikong Chenshue, if you work harder, Nalan Shuang will be mine. Ah. Sikong Chenshue continued climbing. Lu Qingyuan proudly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. He still preferred ice beauties. Elder, you are the disciplinary elder. Pay attention to your expression. Also, I'll have to trouble you to wipe your saliva. Yishang reminded him speechlessly. Lu Qingyuan's appearance was practically that of a pig. The peak of my life is about to arrive. This elder was a little too complacent. Please forgive me. Hearing the reminder, Lu Qingyuan immediately recovered his serious expression and secretly transmitted his voice. Nalan Shuang watched carefully. 62,132 steps. At this moment, Xikong Qianxue, who was on the sky cloud staircase, shouted down. I see it. Come down. Nalan Shuang replied with a complicated expression and slowly walked towards the sky cloud staircase. Xikong Qianxue, who just came down, brushed past Nalan Shuang and said with a smile, I remember that your best result was just over 60,000 steps. You definitely won't be able to reach this result. Serve Elder Lu well in the future. It's not bad that you can find a home like him. At least it's better than marrying an outside disciple. It's better for you to serve Elder Lu well. This time I will definitely win. Nalan Shuang replied with a cold expression. She released her divine domain and started climbing the sky cloud staircase. Her rhythm was similar to Xikong Qianxue's. She quickly reached 40,000 steps before slowing down. At this moment, Xikong Qianxue returned to Lu Qingyuan and Night Sorrow's side. She looked at Lu Qingyuan with a smile and said, Elder Lu, I heard that you are unmarried. What do you think of Nalan? I feel that the two of you are very suitable. Qianxue, don't make fun of this elder. This elder can be said to be devoted to the Tianyun school until my death. How can I have time to think about these feelings? Lu Qingyuan pretended to decline, but in his heart he said, Nalan Shuang is not bad. You're also quite good. Either of you is fine. No matter which one of you I take down today, Lu Qingyuan, will be very satisfied. Elder. Look at you, you can't even close your mouth from smiling. Do you already know about our bet and your heart is already blooming? Lu Qingyuan couldn't control himself and was seen through by Xikong Qianxue. She laughed and joked. What bet? What bet? Lu Qingyuan pretended. He was a half-step divine king and was stronger than Xikong Qianxue. He was confident that his probing with his divine soul wasn't discovered. It doesn't matter if you know or not. Anyway, if Nalan Shuang loses to me, she will have to marry you and be your wife willingly. Xikong Qianxue raised her head to look at Nalan Shuang on the sky cloud stairs and smiled proudly. There is such a bet? Both of you are the genius disciples of our sect and will be the pillars of the divine realm in the future. Making such a bet is too childish. Lu Qingyuan pretended to be angry and said. You say it as if you are unwilling. Xikong Qianxue muttered in a low voice. At this time, everyone in the Clear Sky Pagoda also started to despise Lu Qingyuan. They felt that he was simply not on the same level as the disciplinary elder. Yang Lei suddenly asked sharply, Husband, to be honest, if you didn't meet us, who would you choose? Between the two of them, which one would you choose? Before meeting you, I would wait for your arrival peacefully. I wouldn't choose anyone else. Night Sorrow replied to Yang Lei's sharp question with a smile. Little 13, you really know how to talk. Hearing this answer, Aoi in the Clear Sky Pagoda immediately laughed. The others also smiled and felt that Night Sorrow's answer was very witty. At this time, Nalan Shuang had also climbed to the 60,000th step. She was like Xikong Qianxue just now and started to struggle. Elder Lu, I have to congratulate you. Seeing that Nalan Shuang's movements were slow, Xikong Qianxue cupped her fists towards Lu Qingyuan. At this time, Lu Qingyuan had the experience of the last time. He naturally wouldn't be fooled by appearances and said firmly, Nalan Shuang definitely still has some tricks up her sleeve. Chapter 2563. What's going on? Did she also get a fortuitous encounter? Seeing that Nalan Shuang's aura had become much stronger, Xikong Qianxue immediately became nervous. The person she liked was also Mu Baiyu. She definitely did not want to marry Lu Qingyuan. Let's just wait and see. Lu Qingyuan said indifferently. His mentality was quite relaxed. If there was no Nalan Shuang, having Xikong Qianxue was also not bad. But soon Lu Qingyuan was dumbfounded. After Nalan Shuang climbed to the 62,132nd step, although she tried her best, she could not continue climbing. In the end, she stopped at this height. Her result was exactly the same as Xikong Qianxue's. You two are not bad. This result should be around 5th place among the Divine King seeds. Lu Qingyuan pretended that nothing had happened and commented on their results. In fact, he wanted to cry. He transmitted his voice, "Night Sorrow, help me find out if they have a tiebreaker." "Elder, you should ask this question yourself." Both sides were tied. Lu Qingyuan was happy for a long time, but it was very likely that he was happy for nothing. Night Sorrow wanted to laugh. "Why ask? How can I have the nerve to ask such a thing?" Lu Qingyuan was speechless. Not long after, Nalan Shuang came down from the sky cloud ladder. She did not even look over and walked away with a gloomy expression. Seeing Nalan Shuang leave, Sikong Chenshua did not stop her. She said goodbye to Lu Qingyuan and Night Sorrow and also left. "What is this?" The two women left one after another. Lu Qingyuan was so angry that he sighed repeatedly. He thought that good things had come from the heavens. Who would have thought that the two proud women would actually be tied? This means that you might not have any karma with them. It's better to rely on your own ability to find a Tao companion. Yi Shang smiled and comforted him, saying, "Elder, go check and see if anyone is paying attention to this place. If not, I will go all out to climb the sky cloud ladder." After witnessing the Divine Feather Realm prodigy and the Tianyun School's Divine King's Seed climb the sky cloud ladder, he really wanted to give it a try. "I've checked. There's no one around. If there is, then it must be the Divine King or the Juggernaut. If they want to hide, I naturally won't be able to discover them." After Lu Qingyuan finished speaking, he thought for a moment and said, "Do your best to climb the sky cloud ladder. I will arrange things for you according to your potential." At this moment he had already thought of several routes for Night Sorrow. He would make arrangements based on the strength he displayed. "All right, I'll do my best this time." Night Sorrow nodded and walked towards the sky cloud staircase step by step. When he reached the bottom of the staircase, he turned around and asked, "Can I borrow external forces like divine artifacts?" "Of course not. If you rely on a divine artifact or divine talisman, you will be directly teleported down by the sky cloud ladder. Even swallowing medicinal pills on top of it was not allowed. However, you can still use secret techniques to increase your strength," Lu Qingyuan explained. Okay. After receiving Lu Qingyuan's answer, Night Sorrow slowly stepped onto the sky cloud ladder. When he stepped onto the sky cloud ladder, a faint pressure immediately appeared. As he continued to climb, the pressure began to increase bit by bit. "I wonder what kind of surprise you will bring me." As he watched Night Sorrow's figure gradually ascend, Lu Qingyuan put away his ambiguous thoughts and focused his attention on him. After Mu Baiyu, it had been a long time since a super genius joined the Tianyun school. As for Yan Zheng, Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, although they were ranked 10th to 20th on the Feather God list, past experience had proven that these kinds of geniuses wouldn't be able to play a decisive role in the 7-sect tournament. 15,000. I've surpassed Yan Zheng, but the pressure doesn't seem to be that great. Night Sorrow, who was climbing with all his might, did indeed feel a lot of pressure when he reached the 15,000th step. This kind of pressure was extremely terrifying for normal feather gods and would make it difficult for them to even move. However, Night Sorrow didn't seem to be affected much. As expected of a legendary figure on both lists, he's definitely much stronger than Yan Zheng. Lu Qingyuan, who was watching Night Sorrow from below, stroked his beard in a very good mood. Not long after, Lu Qingyuan's pupils began to constrict. Night Sorrow had already passed the 20,000 mark. He was heading straight for the 27,000 mark for a deity core disciple. If he can really break through the 27,000 mark, then he'll probably be able to make it into the top 30 of the deity list. If he had that kind of strength as a feather god and broke through to the deity level, then he might have a chance in the deity level competition. As he watched Night Sorrow continue to climb, Lu Qingyuan felt a sweet worry in his heart. He didn't know if he should let Night Sorrow participate in the feather god or deity level competition. 27,000. He really did reach the top. Soon Lu Qingyuan's eyes widened. He realized that the Tianyun school had really recruited a super genius. Perhaps he would become another Zhenyi. Even if he couldn't reach Zhenye's level, becoming another Mu Baiyu wouldn't be a problem at all. Mu Baiyu hadn't been this strong when he was still a feather god, but he had won 7 feather god competitions in a row. Later on, he had won 5 consecutive championships in the deity level competition. He was the final glory of the Tianyun school. It was very likely that this kind of glory would appear again. How could Lu Qingyuan, who had deep feelings for the Tianyun school, not be excited? More importantly, he was the one who had discovered this genius. 30,000. I can still go up. But it should be enough. By the time he reached the 30,000th step, Night Sorrow had already activated the 33 Skies battle secret technique. His strength had increased tenfold, but he was starting to find it difficult to continue. Furthermore, he couldn't use the 7 Stars Berserk together with the 33 Skies battle secret technique, so he was already at his limit. Night Sorrow let out a long sigh and muttered to himself as he continued to climb. What? He can still continue climbing after 30,000? Lu Qingyuan, who was standing below, was so shocked that he was speechless. When Zhen Yi had joined the Tianyun school, he had already left the Feather God realm. Naturally, he couldn't have set a new record. The Tianyun school's Feather God realm record had been set by the sect master when he was young, reaching 28,000 steps. Mu Baiyu, the number 1 genius among the Divine King seeds, had reached 27,000 steps when he was at the Feather God realm. Now, not only had Night Sorrow broken the Tianyun school's Feather God realm record, but he was still climbing. As he watched him climb with difficulty, Lu Qingyuan even felt that Xikong Chenxue and Nailan Shuang's achievements were insignificant. 31,220 steps. In the end, Night Sorrow stopped at this number. At this height, he truly felt as if the heavens were crushing him. He had no choice but to give up. He knew that this wasn't his limit. If he could use his power of virtue, he would definitely be able to continue climbing. Even so, this result still left Lu Qingyuan dumbfounded. When Night Sorrow came down, his eyes were shining. He tightly grasped Night Sorrow's hand and said, "I don't think that genius is enough to describe you. Did you know that you've already broken the sect master's Feather God realm record? And you've even surpassed it by 3,000 steps." Only 3,000? Night Sorrow was somewhat dissatisfied when he heard this number. It wasn't that he didn't respect his seniors, but that he felt that he was very likely the strongest Feather God in the history of the God realm. There should be a large gap between him and the others. You're still not satisfied with 3,000? Do you know that the sect master is a peerless expert who has the ability to break through to the ruler realm? There are currently only 7 rulers in the God realm. You're so much stronger than him, yet you're still not satisfied? Lu Qingyuan said unhappily. Chapter 2564. Who can say for sure what the future holds? Night Sorrow shook his head and said, "Elder, if it's possible, Night Sorrow has a request." "What is it?" Lu Qingyuan, who was in a very bad mood, raised his hand and said. Facing someone who was likely to become a ruler in the future, he was a little uncertain. Currently, he was a half-step divine king and also the disciplinary elder of Tianyun school. His status was definitely higher than a feather god, but it would definitely be reversed in the future. "I ascended from the lower world and brought my entire family here to find a pure land for my family. I wonder if Tianyun school has such a suitable area?" Night Sorrow spoke slowly with a hint of expectation. He had already shown the relevant talent, and he believed that the people of Tianyun school would understand. Seeing Night Sorrow's expression, Lu Qingyuan immediately understood. As long as Tianyun school did the right thing, Night Sorrow would definitely stay here wholeheartedly. If the sect master was here, we would definitely be able to fulfill your request. But now that the sect master has been missing for many years, the Tianyun school situation is a little complicated. Vice sect leader Yuan was originally the next sect leader appointed by the sect leader. But now, Vice sect master Ho Jun's faction is constantly making small moves and seems to want to seize power. The relationship between the two factions is very delicate. Lu Qingyuan explained and then continued, "If we rashly arrange such an area for you, Vice sect master Ho Jun might be able to use it against us. Unless you can make a great contribution to the sect." "How much contribution do I need to get an independent mountain like the one with the Divine King's seed?" Night Sorrow asked. He had already seen in the ancient records that Divine King seeds like Xikong Chenxue and Nailan Shuang were rewarded with mountains by the sect. This kind of mountain was an independent space that belonged to the Divine King's seed. If he could get one, the people of Night Moon Dynasty would have a place to settle down. There's an opportunity right in front of you. 2 years later was the 7-sect Grand Competition, also known as the 7-sect Martial Meeting. The most outstanding feather gods and high gods of the 7 great sects would all participate. As long as you can get first place in the feather god group, Vice Sect Master Yuan and I will have a reason to help you. Lu Qingyuan sighed. "Sigh, ever since Mu Baiyu, our Tianyun school hasn't gotten first place in the 7-sect tournament for a long time. Is that all I need to do?" "Alright, I agree." Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. He knew that the sect had its rules. It was impossible for him to shut everyone up just because of his outstanding talent. However, if he were to show solid results, then some people would have no excuse to obstruct him. How long do you need to break through to High God? At this time Lu Qingyuan asked. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would accidentally break through in 2 years. If he became a deity, it might not be so easy for him to win first place. As long as I want to break through, I should be able to do so at any time. I was planning to break through as soon as I joined the sect. You've been stuck at the Divine Feather Realm for a long time. Your cultivation is too low. Yi Shang climbed onto Lu Qingyuan's steed at his signal. Don't break through. Our Tianyun school's morale is low right now. We're just waiting for you to shine in the 7-sect tournament. You have a high chance of getting first place in the Feather God realm. But if you become a high god, it might not be so safe. Lu Qingyuan persuaded, I'll take you to Vice Sect Master Yuan first. We'll discuss what to do with you for the next 2 years. Originally, Lu Qingyuan had his own ideas. However, Yi Shan had completely displayed his talent, so he had immediately rejected the plan he had thought of. He was afraid that Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to control himself and would suddenly become a high god. Night Sorrow replied. He casually mentioned the matter of giving his identity token to Shenjizi and asked if there would be any negative effects. This kind of thing is very common in the Tianyun school. Many genius disciples give their identity tokens to their subordinates to manage. As for you, Vice Sect Master, and I will make a new one for you, Lu Qingyuan replied as they flew. He didn't want to expose Night Sorrow's talent before the tournament. After all, there might be spies in the Tianyun school. Okay, I'll follow Elder's arrangements. Night Sorrow didn't want to think too much about it. Not long after, he was led by Lu Qingyuan to Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji's place. Vice Sect Master, this is Night Sorrow, the person I mentioned before. Lu Qingyuan took Night Sorrow's arm and introduced him as they walked into Yuan Tianji's living room. At the same time, he reported Night Sorrow's performance on the stairway to heaven. He's really a rare genius. He's only a feather god, but his aura is not weaker than an ordinary monarch god. Yuan Tianji couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he heard Night Sorrow's stairway to heaven result. He then calmed down and said with a smile, Night Sorrow, welcome to the Tianyun school. I believe you and the Tianyun school will help each other. If you have any requests, you can tell me. I'll try my best to fulfill them. Night Sorrow ascended from the lower realm and brought his entire family to find a pure land for his family. Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji took the initiative to ask. Night Sorrow repeated what he said to Lu Qingyuan. Well, let me think about it. Yuan Tianji thought for a while and asked, how many people do you have in your family? Is it more than 10 million? The population isn't that great. There aren't that many people, Yi Shang said. Elder Lu has already told me that you agreed to participate in the 7-sect tournament. Let's do it this way. For 2 years, let your people cultivate in my mountain. When you return from the tournament, I'll arrange a mountain with the most abundant god spiritual chi for you. Yuan Tianji arranged Night Sorrow's people and looked at him. As for you, don't cultivate in these 2 years and don't do any sect missions. You can stay here and learn alchemy, equipment and array formations. I'm the #1 alchemist in the sect other than the sect master. I should be qualified to teach you. Vice Sect Master, do you know anything about the Heavenly 1000 transformation pill? Although he asked Lu Qingyuan the same question, Night Sorrow still asked about the Heavenly 1000 transformation pill. Only the sect master knows how to refine this pill, but we don't know where he is now. Yuan Tianji explained. However, the sect master's pill recipe came from a secret realm. That secret realm will open again in 1,000 years. When that time comes, I'll arrange for you to enter. Vice Sect Master, that mystic realm needs Divine Lord realm to be able to enter. Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan immediately reminded. Okay. Night Sorrow has the strength of an ordinary Divine Lord in the Divine Feather realm. 1,000 years later, he might be able to compete with Elder Lu. There won't be a problem going to that secret realm. Yuan Tianji looked at Yi Shang and suddenly smiled. I wonder if you've ever had a master during your cultivation journey? He meant that he wanted to take him in as a disciple. I had masters in the lower realm. Night Sorrow told him about all his masters in the lower realm. After waiting for him to finish speaking, Yuan Tianji continued, in terms of cultivation, your future path may be further than mine. However, for now, my understanding of Divine Lords and the Divine King is definitely deeper than yours. I have the ability to teach you. Vice Sect Master, the matter of apprenticeship involves too much karma. Let me think about it for a few days. Yuan Tianji was very strong and he was also the Vice Sect Master of Tianyun School. However, they didn't know each other well. Chapter 2565. Alright. Since that's the case, I'll arrange for you and your clansmen to rest. I'll order people to send over books related to alchemy, crafting, and formations. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to come here and ask. Knowing what Night Sorrow meant, Yuan Tianji didn't force him. He arranged for Night Sorrow and the Night Moon clan to stay in a bamboo forest by the lake. He gave Night Sorrow a token. He said, "With this token you can walk around the sect as you please. If anyone makes things difficult for you, just inject your divine origin energy into the token." "Thank you, Vice Sect Leader." Night Sorrow, who received the token, thanked him and invited, "Vice Sect Leader and Elder Lu, why don't you stay for a drink before you leave?" At this time, everyone from the Night Moon clan had already come out. Some of them were setting up the courtyard. Night Sorrow's wife and daughter were carefully preparing the banquet. Everyone had been in an abyss of suffering in the divine realm. Now that they finally had a relatively safe place to stay, they were all in a good mood. "Alright. I haven't been in the mood to drink in a long time. Today, with you joining the Tianyun school, I'm in a good mood. I'll drink to my heart's content. I'll go invite Madam. I'll be back soon." Yuan Tianji, who received the invitation, happily agreed. As for Lu Qingyuan, after Night Sorrow introduced his wives, he didn't want to talk to Night Sorrow anymore. He lamented that the heavens were too unfair. However, after drinking, he completely forgot about his unhappiness. He felt that Jing Yun, this divine lord, was very good. She was strong, talented, and extremely beautiful. However, when he paid careful attention, he noticed that Jing Yun would often inadvertently glance at Night Sorrow during the banquet. Lu Qingyuan's heart was filled with sorrow. The family banquet was joyous and harmonious. After entertaining the guests and sending them off, Night Sorrow accompanied his family for a few days in peace. Half a month later, when he returned to the outer sect to visit Shenjizi, he found that there were already more than 20 cultivators trapped in the courtyard. These people were probably here to cause trouble and were trapped by the formation. Night Sorrow didn't care about them, but when he saw Shenjizi, he immediately flew into a rage. At this moment, Shenjizi was seriously injured. He was lying on the bed on his last breath. "Brother, take this pill." He walked to Night Sorrow's bedside, took out a healing pill and gave it to Shenjizi. He asked, "Brother, who hurt you?" 2 days ago, I went to exchange for cultivation resources and met an inner disciple named Nalanda. He saw that I had a lot of sect points and asked for them. If he couldn't get it, he would immediately snatch it. In the end, I wasn't strong enough and the sect points in my identity jade token were taken away. Shenjizi coughed up a mouthful of blood and began to recount the events of that day. Although the status of the outer sect disciples isn't high, they were beaten up for no reason and even had their sect spots snatched away in public. Does no one care about this matter? When Night Sorrow, Yuan Tianji, and Lu Qingyuan were drinking, they already knew that the Tianyun school had dozens of monarch god-level law enforcement elders. They were distributed in various areas of the sect and would immediately appear if there was a fight within the sect. At that time an elder appeared, but when he saw that the attacker was Nalanda, he only said one sentence: "Don't kill anyone." Shenjizi took the Divine Soul Recovery Pill and immediately recovered a lot. He continued, "I heard from the onlookers that Nalanda has a sister who is a divine king seed. The law enforcement elders that appeared didn't dare to offend that person." Nalanda? Could his sister be called Nalan Shuang? Hearing Shenjizi mention this, Night Sorrow immediately thought of Nalan Shuang, who climbed the sky cloud ladder. At that time she had reached a height of more than 60,000 feet. She was indeed very strong. "I think that's the name." Shenjizi thought for a moment and nodded. "Brother, recover a bit. I'll take you back to your sect spot later. How many sect points have we been robbed?" There were more than 20 cultivators trapped in the courtyard. Night Sorrow knew that Shenjizi must have obtained a lot of sect points. Shenjizi replied, "There are a total of 40,000 sect points. The one trapped outside is one of the top 10 experts in the outer sect. He alone contributed 30,000 points. More than 40,000 points. No wonder it would arouse Nalanda's greed." Night Sorrow said in a low voice, then looked at Shenjizi and asked, "Brother, can you find Nalanda's residence?" "This I really don't know." Shenjizi had just entered the sect, so how could he know this? "I'll just go to the inner sect to see Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxua. They should be core disciples now." Night Sorrow knew that the core disciples of Tianyun school had a higher status than the inner sect disciples, but they didn't have the privileges of a divine king seed. When Shenjizi had almost recovered, he took him to the inner sect to look for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxua. With the vice sect master's token, he didn't encounter any obstruction. After searching for half a day, the two of them met one of Si Kongxiang's servants. This servant had seen Night Sorrow in Si Kongxiang's spatial artifact. He recognized him and brought him to the courtyard where Si Kongxiang was. "Brother Night Moon, you're here. I've encountered some trouble recently, so I didn't go to see you. Please forgive me." Si Kongxiang was very happy to see Night Sorrow, but there was something on his face. Night Sorrow could see that he had something on his mind and asked, "Brother Sikong, what trouble have you encountered? Tell me and see if I can help you." Si Kongxiang sighed and said, "It's like this. My cousin's name is Sikong Chinshua. She is the divine king seed of Tianyun school. She has a love rival called Nalan Shuang. That Nalan Shuang has a younger brother in the inner sect called Nalan Da. My cousin asked me to find a way to beat him up. But he is on the divine list, and I am only an invincible feather god. I am not his opponent at all." "A person on the divine list, so he is also a core disciple?" Night Sorrow originally came here to find Nalan Da. Hearing Si Kongxiang talk about this matter, he immediately became interested. He was prepared to find out more about this Nalan Da. He is a person on the divine list, but it seems that he is only ranked in the 80s. He reached the height of 24,000 on the heaven cloud ladder and was not promoted to a core disciple. Si Kongxiang explained and said helplessly, "Although he is not a core disciple, that kind of strength is not something we can deal with. I can deal with him, but it is not suitable for me to expose my identity at the moment. Let's think of a way to beat him up." Night Sorrow did not care about Nalan Da's strength at all. However, according to Yuan Tianji and Lu Qingyuan, it was best for him to keep a low profile before the 7-sect tournament and not expose his true identity. The best choice was to secretly make a move. "Brother Yi, are you kidding? You said you can deal with Nalan Da?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Si Kongxiang looked at him in disbelief. After all, he only showed the aura of the Feather God realm. "I am 100% confident." Night Sorrow felt that it was not a big deal to show his strength in front of Si Kongxiang, so he immediately released a powerful divine domain. Under the suppression of his divine domain, Si Kongxiang even felt that it was difficult to breathe. Immediately, his expression changed and he exclaimed, "Brother Yi, your strength is so amazing. Could you be the legendary Night Sorrow?" "It is me. However, it is not convenient to disclose it now. Please keep it a secret, Brother Sikong." Night Sorrow said and continued, "My friend, a few days ago Nalan Da snatched the sect's spot. I just want to deal with him. With Brother Night Sorrow's help, it will be easy to deal with Nalan Da." Si Kongxiang whispered, "Actually, I have recently studied Nalan Da's habits thoroughly. He has a special hobby. Every half a month, he will leave the heavenly cloud mountain and have a tryst with a widow at the foot of the mountain. We will beat him up in the temple where they have their tryst." Okay. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.